And here it is, we go again. Roll up, ladies and gentlemen. One man went to Mo. Here it is, we go again. Here I am again. Hope you're there with me. The session commences and your company is required. That thing that happens sometimes twice a day, happening twice a day today. So the session commences and I need you to come participate in the goings on around here. One man went to Mo. The eagle has landed.
Another Savior, holy, 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 Adimebujuku. Another Savior, holy, 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 Adimebujuku.
Well, this is Mobien. This is dedicated to the gallant heroes of the Nigerian Biafra War and IPO families all over the world. I remember the Nigerian Biafran War, in the thickness of the Biafra genocide. Hey, one man revived the vanishing hope to life. Let the great Biafran army to fight, and they were singing out, holy, 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 is another Savior. They were singing out, holy, 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 is another Savior. Holy, 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 is another Savior. Many years after the genocide, whoa, yet another great leader has risen up now. Oh, and he's leading the Biafrans to victory. Inyamadika yabika kwa namno wao. Hey, anamekele maduche mefo. Mwanemo, it's an honor having you on board. When I'm singing along, holy, 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 Nandekano is another Savior. Just sing along, holy, 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 Nandekano is another Savior. When I sing along, holy, 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 is another Savior. Getting it right and getting it faster now. Holy, 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 is another Savior. Holy, holy, getting it right, faster, never freedom. Is another Savior. Yeah, for freedom. Holy, 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 Nandekano is another Savior.
Another Savior, holy, 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 Adimebujuku. Another Savior, holy, 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 Adimebujuku.
Well, this is Mobien. This is dedicated to the gallant heroes of the Nigerian Biafra War and IPO families all over the world. I remember the Nigerian Biafran War, in the thickness of the Biafra genocide. Hey, one man revived the vanishing hope to life. Let the great Biafran army to fight, and they were singing out, holy, 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 is another Savior. They were singing out, holy, 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 is another Savior. Holy, 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 is another Savior. Many years after the genocide, whoa, yet another great leader has risen up now. Oh, and he's leading the Biafrans to victory. Inyamadika yabika kwa namno wao. Hey, anamekele maduche mefo.
And there it is right there. The Holy Holy song from the eastern part of Nigeria. The Holy Holy song by the Igbo people. So, holy, as guys, I bring you this. Buhari's loyalists planning to work against Tinubu support Atiku in 2023. It is Sule Lamido making this headline. He being a senior functionary of that space, of course, he being a PDP man, but nevertheless, first and foremost, of their religion and of their ethnicity. So this is what he is alarming to the space, and this is not especially news to people who are watching the permutations of politics. Buhari's loyalists planning to work against Tinubu support Atiku in 2023. Sule Lamido making the headline there. So that's Sule Lamido. So from there, we go to this. So this is an outsider looking inward on the Nigerian space is where we're going to now. In 6 months I have spent, Nigeria certainly has security issues. It is the Israeli envoy that is speaking, and if anybody should know about security and insecurity, it is especially and more so the Israelis than anyone else, because they've been contending with this phenomenon for decades. So he comes to Nigeria, and within 6 months, he concludes that the country is a basket case. In 6 months, I have spent, Nigeria certainly has security issues, Israeli envoy. So quite what led the Israeli to say that, we find out shortly. Still staying outside of Nigeria, Paul Kagame seeks to rule Rwanda for another 20 years. So this is this penchant now that African leaders have for life presidency. He being somebody that a lot of people thought was a departure from what usually happens. But he may well, some people say he governs the country very well, but he's not uniquely gifted. He's not the only man in that country that has the capacity to rule the country. But in his own mind, he is, and he's seeking tenure elongation. So a few months ago, I was reading about how this guy was looking to change the country's constitution to enable him another term of office. I think he has expired what his constitutional entitlements are, but it looks as though he wants to be in perpetuity the president of that country. 20 years more, and he's been the president of that country since the year 2000. So this is what we're contending with. 2000, that was 22 years already, and another, so it's going to be 40, 45 years the president of that country. So a president for life is what this element is looking for. Paul Kagame seeks to rule Rwanda for another 20 years. So there it is right there. That African thing, it never changes. Fani Kayode is a rebel rouser, I should say, but it's rebel rouser they wrote. Fani Kayode is a rebel rouser. Nigerian military, DHQ, tackles ex-minister for claiming soldiers withdrew from Kuje prison before ISWAP's fatal attack. So I'm not sure that it's only Fani Kayode that is especially expressing that opinion. A lot of people, and based on whatever facts they have, they say assertively and confidently that troops were withdrawn. And it just stands to reason that there was no security and there should have been security. If there wasn't security, that is even more damning. But the likelihood that the security was withdrawn to facilitate this is certainly something that people are entertaining. Fani Kayode is a rebel rouser. Nigerian military DHQ tackles ex-minister for claiming soldiers withdrew from Kuje prison before ISWAP's fatal attacks. So there it is right there. You can whistle that in the wind, because I think Nigerians have already made up their minds on that one. So I think we'll land on this one. I was going to bring you a story of, I'll just give you this headline. I may well not read the piece, or I may. It's not really that important, but the headline tells you pretty much all the body of the piece. So the headline: Attorney General Malami marries Buhari's daughter with 6 children in private ceremony in Abuja. So it looks as though the Buhari family, they are using this opportunity of governance to pay for the weddings of their children. I think this is about number 4 or 5 of Buhari's children that are marrying just within his tenure as a president. This this daughter, is a daughter from a previous marriage. So it's not Aisha's daughter. It's the family that he's looking to park aside and pretend like they don't exist. Attorney General Malami marries Buhari's daughter with 6 children in private ceremony in Abuja. So that is Malami essentially are securing protection for his looting post-governance. And then we land on this. Nothing wrong with Muslim tickets, but we must pray Tinubu isn't treated like Abiola over presidential ambition. Ex-Governor Ladoja making the headline. And we all know what the Abiola treatment is. The recommendation is for Tinubu not to drink any tea from any Fulani household. So don't drink any tea offered to you by Fulani Tinubu, because and if you want to know why, go speak to the Abiola family. Nothing wrong with Muslim tickets, but we pray Tinubu isn't treated like Abiola over presidential ambition, ex-Governor Ladoja. So I think we already have an indication of where that is going, but we get into the fullness of it just shortly. So that's the menu. So lean back, kick back, take it easy, relax into it. Click on the like button as you are coming in. Click on the subscribe button as well if you haven't done that already. And then if you want to come and join me on the screen to discuss any of the talking points, click on this hyperlink that says StreamYard. So that brings you into a studio space. And as soon as I finish reading out the talking points, I'll let you onto the screen and engage you in a conversation around the talking points. So that's how it works. It's an interactive session. It's an open microphone session. And the open microphone is the hyperlink that says StreamYard. So there it is right there. So as you set about the clickings on the like and subscribe and at your discretion, the hyperlink, let me provide you a little bit of musical accoutrement. Your calabash to the ready. We join Veka Guy.
Only water, where they see ma. Water,
only water, where they see ma.
Hapa o naido. Hapa you don't come o. Hapa o naido. Oro kẹ̀kẹ́ ẹlẹ́mù yé o. Ilé sọ́dí àkẹ́kẹ́ rẹ̀ ẹlẹ́mù rẹ̀ o. Bobby Master kẹ̀kẹ́ rẹ̀ ẹlẹ́mù rẹ̀ o. Chief Wáìlà tí kẹ̀kẹ́ rẹ̀ ẹlẹ́mù rẹ̀ o. Eruku lẹ̀lẹ̀ ẹlẹ́mù dé. Eruku lẹ̀lẹ̀ ẹgbẹ́ ẹlẹ́mù dòde ojàre o. Eruku lẹ̀lẹ̀ Ghana ti dé ẹgbẹ́ bọ́ọ̀dì o. Ọmọ ẹlẹ́yẹ ẹyẹ o ó dìlé o. Odúyẹ̀lá ẹyẹ o ó dìlé o. Petrosonama ẹyẹ o ó dìlé o. Petrosodúnkẹ́ ẹyẹ rẹ̀ ó dìlé o. Ẹlẹ́kọ̀ ọ̀run mú ìní o. Àkùkọ ọ̀run méjìkọ. Ikú kò ní ríwà gbéṣe o.
And there it is right there. Ikuko Niru Agbeche may death have nothing to do with us. So Ikuko Niru Agbeche, as guys, I bring you this. Buhari Loyalists planning to work against Tinubu, support Atiku in 2023. Sule Lamido making the headline. Former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido says members of the All Progressives Congress APC loyal to President Muhammad Buhari will work against the party's presidential candidate Bola Tinubu in the 2023 general election. Tinubu may be a master tactician. He is a good guy in planning and propaganda, but then he is on the wrong political platform. And even the way he came out, the way he won the primaries, it is very clear that even members of the APC are going to vote against him. Mr. Lamido, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party PDP and former Minister of Foreign Affairs, said in an interview that let's take that again. Mr. Lamido, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and former Minister of Foreign Affairs, said in an interview that Mr. Buhari's loyalists were bent on pushing Mr. Tinubu for his remarks about the president in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Mr. Tinubu, on June the 2nd in Abeokuta, recounted how he turned Mr. Buhari from a serial and a sore election loser to becoming the president in 2015. His comment was condemned by APC chairman Abdullahi Adamu, who vowed to punish him for insulting the president. I am being honest because of the issue of pride, and their chairman who said they were going to punish Tinubu for making some uncomplimentary remarks about the president. Mr. Lamido said whilst explaining why he thinks the APC candidate will lose the election. Meanwhile, recall that Mr. Lamido was one of the loudest opponents against the zoning of the 2023 PDP presidential ticket, paving the way for the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as the PDP presidential candidate ahead of next year's poll. On how Abubakar would defeat Mr. Tinubu in 2023 election, Mr. Lamido explained. There are two dimensions to this. One is about emotions, divisions, and religion, but I don't want to go into divisive politics. The other is a question of platform, retelling the history of the formation of the political parties in 1998 till date. Mr. Lamido said that the ruling APC cannot match the history of the PDP. So there it is, right there. And really, what Lamido says in the penultimate paragraph is essentially how the Nigerian elections will play out. Because he says that only because really this is how the Nigerian elections have always played out. So let's reread that paragraph. On how Mr. Abubakar will defeat Mr. Tinubu in 2023, Mr. Lamido explained there are two dimensions to this. One is about emotion, divisions, and religion. So those are the tripods that the Nigerian democracy and the Nigerian states rest upon. Emotions, divisions, and religion. So those emotions are wrapped around ethnicity, etc., etc. And the divisions, of course, wrapped around ethnicity and religion stands by itself. So the Nigerian elections have always wrapped around ethnicity, religion, and emotion. And this is what this guy is saying that this election is going to play out on as well. And there is nothing to suggest that it will play any differently because that is how it is divisive politics. But then it is divisive politics that has always played the Nigerian political space. Ethnicity, religion, they will always play a paramount role within the Nigerian political space. And we see it already with the Southeasterners gathering around the champion, and they are trying to canvass as many people as are corruptible to join on board with the narrative that they're wrapping around their champion. So the ethnic politics has already started from the Southeast. But then that ethnic politics, when the other participants come into the field, that will be ratcheted up. There'll be a lot of ethnic politics played by Tinubu as well. But I don't think Atiku will or can afford to play ethnic politics because his ethnicity is out of favor in Nigeria at the moment. But certainly a lot of ethnic undertones will play out in the upcoming election, only because that's always been the case. And religion at the front burner as well, already a topic of debate even before INEC kicks off the campaign. So there it is right there. And that's the sum total of the Nigerian election wrapped in this paragraph. On how Atiku will defeat Tinubu in 2023, Mr. Lamido explained there are two dimensions to this. One is about emotion, division, and religion. But I don't want to go into divisive or divisive politics. So there it is right there. And that is the Nigerian political landscape, whether you like it or not. That is how politics plays out in Nigeria. So now let's stay within Nigeria, but take a step outside of the country. So one leg in, one leg out. In 6 months I have spent, Nigeria certainly has security issues. Israeli envoy. The Israeli ambassador to Nigeria, Michael Freeman, has expressed the desire of his country to assist Nigeria fight the worsening insecurity across the country. Freeman disclosed this in Abuja on Thursday when the Senate chief whip, Senator Oji Uzokalu, visited him for a few. Let's take that from the top again. The Israeli ambassador to Nigeria, Michael Freeman, has expressed the desire of his country to assist Nigeria fight the worsening insecurity across the country. Freeman disclosed this in Abuja on Thursday when the Senate chief whip, Senator Oji Uzokalu, visited him with few workers of the embassy to a private engagement and dinner, according to correspondents. He said that apart from helping Nigeria on intelligence gathering and training of security personnel, Israel will be relying on Nigerian government to specify other areas of need it needed their assistance. I have been in Nigeria for only 6 months, and I am beginning to learn and understand the wonderful country and people of Nigeria. We are looking to see where we can partner with Nigeria, certainly on security issues, on agriculture, and on technology. And we are looking to see, pardon me, and we're looking to see where, but it's for the government and for the people of Nigeria to point us in the direction where we can help them work together. But as the senator said, certainly in, pardon me, but as the senator said, let me actually get myself a glass of water. Just bear with me one moment. I'm just going to play you a little bit of music. I think I might need water for this session.
Python that's one, Python that's two, now Python that's a three. Unapoli Maryland, Nandi win the war. Python that's one, Python that's two, now Python that's a three. Unapoli Maryland, Nandi bo onyedu I walk. O Mary Wonelizu.
All right, and there it is. Python dance, Python dance. So yes, but as the senator said, certainly in areas of training, in areas of others, we have been. Let's take that from it. Yes, I have been in the country for only 6 months, and I'm beginning to learn and understand the wonderful country and people of Nigeria. We are looking to see where we can partner with Nigeria, certainly on security issues, on agriculture, and on technology. And we are looking to see where, but it is for the government and for the people of Nigeria to point us in the direction where we can help them work together. But as the senator said, certainly in areas of training and in areas of others we've been, we would we would be very interested in sharing best practice and sharing intelligence. We would certainly be interested in working together, he said. Earlier in his remark, Kalu expressed the readiness of the Senate to support the collaboration between Israel and Nigeria to curb insecurity in the country in aspects of ammunition and training. Kalu, however, pointed out two key areas of agriculture and security, which he said Nigeria must tap from Israel to address the nation's food security and other security concerns. This ambassador is barely 6 months here, and we at the Senate will do everything possible to make sure that the next appropriation will focus on Israel, and Israel will come over to give us important training in areas of security. We are doing everything possible to maintain our relationship with the Israelis, and then, the Israeli history is a successful history. And if Nigeria can learn two things from the Israelis, which are security and agriculture, we shall make a lot of progress and we will go a long way. I don't want to talk too much about what the Israelis can do. I have one of the agricultural companies that revolutionized agriculture in the northern part of Nigeria in terms of equipment and all. Tadan Suki used to be their chairman, and I hope we can find common ground. So essentially, so that's the thrust of it. So that is it. The Israeli new envoy immediately identifying security as Nigeria's biggest problem. So leaving the shores of Nigeria for a moment and speaking to the Malays that afflicts the African continent, Paul Kagame seeks to rule Rwanda for another 20 years, and there it is. Rwanda President Paul Kagame says he would seek re-election. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame says he will seek re-election in 2024 as he considers staying in office for the next 20 years. I will consider running for another 20 years. I have no problem with that. Elections are about people choosing, Mr. Kagame said. The Rwandan leader disclosed this in an interview with France 24 when asked if he would seek re-election. Mr. Kagame, 64, has been in power for over 2 decades, contesting and winning 3 presidential elections in 2000, 2010, and 2017. But that's 3 decades now, really. So contesting and winning presidential elections in 3 cycles in 2000, I think it's a 5-year term that they are running there. So it's a 10-year term. So I mean, listen to these words. Mr. Kagame, 64, has been in power for over 2 decades, contesting and winning 3 presidential elections in 2000, 2010, and 2017. So 2000 to 2010, that's 10 years, and 2010 to 17, that's 7 years. So I'm not quite sure what terms they run in that country, but that's 3 decades, not 2, by my reckoning. Rwanda's next election in 2024 will be his 4th time of contesting presidential election. He had changed the Rwandan constitution in 2015, allowing him till 2034. Should Mr. Kagame remain in office for another 20 years, as he said, he would be 84 years old, ruling Rwanda for over 60 years. Mr. Kagame and his party, the Rwanda Patriotic Front, have been criticized by people, most especially Amnesty International, for being repressive and intolerant of opposition. Amnesty's regional director for East Africa, I won't attempt the name, says since ruling Rwanda, Amnesty's regional director for East Africa says since the ruling Rwanda Patriotic Front took power 23 years ago, Rwandans have faced huge and often deadly obstacles to participating in public life and voicing criticism of the government policy. The climate in which the upcoming election will take place is the culmination of years of repression. So there it is right there, president for life. I thought this was out, and people come. And people quickly point to Rwanda as a shining example of how Africa should be. So, president for life is essentially the recommendation for Africa. Fani Kayode is a rebel rouser. Nigerian military DHQ tackles ex-minister for claiming soldiers withdrew from Kuje prison before ISWAP's fatal attack. Pardon me, I can't seem to shake this cough. I don't know why. The Nigerian Defense Headquarters Abuja has denied the allegations by a former Minister of Aviation Femi Fani-Kayode in a viral video that soldiers at the Kuje Correctional Center Abuja were withdrawn a few minutes before the terrorist attacked on Tuesday night. The military authorities said the allegations by Fani-Kayode's video were intended to smear the military and create bad blood between the service personnel and the military high command. A statement by the Director, Defense Information, Major General Jimmy Akpo, made available to correspondents on Saturday, said that Fani Kayode's claims could be part of a calculated attempt to cause division and rivalry amongst all government agencies that have been working collaboratively in addressing issues of insecurity in the country. The statement reads, unsubstantiated allegation against the armed forces of Nigeria by Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode in a viral video in circulation. General Akpo described the former minister as a known rebel rouser and an attention seeker, whilst noting that his claim was nothing more than sheer ignorance. The statement reads in part, the attention of the defense headquarters has been drawn to a video produced by Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode, wherein he made wild and unsubstantiated allegations against the armed forces of Nigeria regarding the recent spate of terrorist attacks, particularly the attack of the prison in Kuje, Abuja on the 5th of July. Ordinarily, the video and its makers would have been ignored, considering the antecedents of the person behind it as a known rebel rouser. However, in the interest of members of the public who might be misled by the deliberate falsehood and sensibilities of the service personnel and their families who have been paying dearly to keep Nigerians safe, it has become urgent to respond to the video currently circulating on social media. Amongst other allegations, Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode claims that the Department of State Services (DSS) informs the military about the impending attack on Kuje Correctional Center and even the previous attack on Kaduna-Abuja rail service. He also claims that soldiers were withdrawn shortly before the prison attack. In all these allegations, Mr. Kayode is merely playing to the gallery. He is not in any position to know whether the DSS notified the military of any attacks or not. It may not be impossible that such a claim is part of a calculated attempt to cause division and rivalry amongst all government agencies that have been working collaboratively in addressing issues of insecurity in the country. It added, the claim that soldiers were withdrawn from the Kuje Correctional Custodial Center before the attack is laughable. It is sad that Mr. Kayode is ignorant of whose responsibility it is to guard the prison. Mr. Fani-Kayode further claimed that the military took no action on the recent Shiroro terrorist attack, which resulted in the unfortunate death of some soldiers, some policemen, and members of the public. This is also an attempt to smear the military and create bad blood between the service personnel and the military high command. A despicable statement that dishonors the sacrifices of the gallant officers and soldiers that paid the supreme price whilst responding in defense of the civilians and the mining community. What a shame. Mr. Kayode is encouraged to pay more attention to the weekly briefs by the defense media operations. Defense media operations give weekly briefs/updates on operations being conducted across the country. Press releases on military operations are also made available when the need arises. Mr. Fani-Kayode is also Mr. Fani-Kayode is also called to refresh himself on the constitutional roles of the armed forces of Nigeria. In all, subordination to civil authority is key. It is pertinent to state that the Nigerian armed forces are toiled to sustain and nurture our democracy. Hence, the same military cannot contemplate a coup d'etat as alluded to by Mr. Kayode in his video. General Akpo, however, maintained that the commitment of the Nigerian military to General Akpo, however, maintained the commitment of the Nigerian military to uphold the tenets of democracy. So it is my dry throat that is making me read somewhat funnily. But let me see if I can find that Femi Fani-Kayode video and see if we can share it here. So let me just do a quick search. Fani. Let's just see if we can Kayode. Military. Okay, let's see what we get. So let's narrow the search to just within the month. All right. Okay, let's narrow it to 1 week, and then let's see. If it doesn't give me anything, then I'll just move on. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can find the Fani-Kayode video, and let's see. I think this may be it. So let me just say, hold on. Okay, I think this may well be it. So I'll copy this and then I'll play it to you guys in a moment. So just give me 1 second, because hold on. Un momento. So YouTube download. Okay, let's go there and let's try this. So this is real-time stuff that you're seeing. So, you know, bringing you the news just as it's breaking and it's evolving. Okay, so let's download that, if you let me. Oh no, it's hold on. Okay. Hold on. I have got it. I'm just trying to capture it now. Okay, so now let me put it put it up on I'm not going to let me just load it up on the platform so I can play it to you guys. And there it is. So there it is. So let's move on. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, let's move on. I'll probably make this the last reading. So nothing wrong with Muslim tickets, but we pray Tinubu isn't treated like MKO Abiola over presidential ambition. Ex-Governor Ladoja. The former governor for your state, Rashidi Ladoja, has said that he has no time to fight. Oh, and by the way, I think he's Muslim, so so he probably wouldn't have a problem with a Muslim ticket, of course. The former governor for your state, Rashidi Ladoja, has said that he has no time to fight traditionalists or bother himself about Muslim tickets in the 2023 presidential election, as he sees nothing wrong with having a president and vice president belonging to the same religion. Rather than worry about Muslim tickets, the former governor appealed to Nigerians to embark on prayers for the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC Bola Tinubu, so he would not be treated like the late MKO Abiola. In the 1993 presidential election in Nigeria, Abiola, a southwestern Muslim who contested for president with a northern Muslim, Babagana Kingibe, as his running mate, won the election but died in prison in 1998 without getting to the presidential villa, as the election was annulled by the military dictator Ibrahim Babangida. Speaking at his Speaking at his home country, so that should be his country home, he should say. So speaking at his country home in Bodija in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, shortly after this year's Eid el-Kabir prayers, Ladoja maintained that Muslim ticket is not his problem and should not be an impediment to electing leaders in the country. According to him, sentiment over same religion ticket does not make any sense because Ishmael and Isaac, who are the originators of Muslim and Christianity, were siblings, but it is only politicians who cause crises with such tickets. Ladoja said what matters to him is how Tinubu will be treated if he eventually wins the presidency. The ex-governor said, there are many factors involved in electing a president. Whoever wants to be president and those working for him have to work very hard. In fact, they will need more prayers as they are consulting. With all these efforts, God has the final say on who becomes president. Chief MKO Abiola, who was a Muslim, was elected along his vice, also a Muslim. We only pray that if Tinubu wins, it will not turn out like that of the late MKO Abiola. I don't see anything wrong with the Muslim ticket because I don't intervene in religious matters. Muslim and Christians are from the same father. Some people are following Ishmael, whilst others are following Isaac, who are siblings. So, what is now my own to be fighting for one amongst them? I don't have time to fight with traditionalists. It is only God that knows his servant, so why must we fight over religion? All religions, including traditional religion, preach love and good character. It is only politicians that usually cause crises with religion. So it is only politicians that usually cause crisis with religion. So for reasons, okay, let me just read it. I was going to abandon this last one because I seem to have like a dry throat somewhat. But let me just read this one because it's a short read and then I come into the room. Attorney General Malami marries Buhari's daughter with 6 children in private ceremony in Abuja. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami on Friday got married to Nana Hadiza, the third daughter of President Mohamed Buhari. A spokesman for the president, Garba Shehu, confirmed the wedding on Friday. It is true. The AGF got married to the president's daughter, he said. Hadiza is Buhari's daughter from a previous marriage and now the third wife of the AGF. She is said to have been previously married and has 6 children. It was gathered that the private Nikai ceremony took place at the presidential villa Aso Rock. About 2 months ago, Malami, who was nursing a governorship ambition in his home state Kebbi, said he had withdrawn from the 2023 Kebbi State governorship race. Malami, a lawyer from Kebbi State, who was hardly known before 2015 when he was appointed into the administration of Buhari, is today one of the richest men in the cabinet. In 2020, a series of detailed investigations carried out by Sahara reporters showed that Malami had acquired several properties whose values run into billions of naira since being appointed into the administration of President Buhari as the country's chief lawmaker. For example, the AGF has an underground hotel in Sokoto, 3 houses at Peace Estate, Abuja, a brand new state-of-the-art school in Kebbi, 2 houses for his sons worth 100 million each, and a new hotel under construction in Jabi area of Abuja. Malami also bought a house worth 150 million naira in Gwarimpa area of Abuja, a school located at the back of Nitel in Gase Phase 2, Benin Kebbi, and a house worth 600 million on Amedu Bello Way, Nasarawa, GRA, Kano, are amongst properties acquired by Malami since he became a minister under the Buhari regime. The houses he bought for his sons in Kebbi are 200 meters apart in a posh part of the city. That's not all. Malami also built a 3 billion multi-purpose event, a 3 billion naira multi-purpose event center in Kebbi State named Isbar Arena for his son. The facility is said to be an entertainment center with a plaza and a kids playing section. This is apart from Ram Rahan Hotel located in Zaria Road opposite Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, which the AGF massively upgraded using unexplained wealth. Ever since Sahara reporters published a series of detailed reports exposing this illicit acquisition, the online news medium has been a target for the AGF's camp, apart from falsely claiming to have sued Sahara reporters over the expository report. He said had damaged his reputation before the world. Malami also issued a petition to the former Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, on the issue to arrest the publisher of the online newspaper Showore. Despite these questionable acquisitions, Malami continues to portray a saintly stance in the Buhari government, whose fight against corruption has been called into serious question in recent times. So there it is, right there. So, the latter half of that explains why he went and married now this already used and dumped Buhari daughter. So he's essentially married her for security. So, sorry, I see you. Ajande Koko, I see you. So good to see you, gentlemen. But before I come to you, let's listen to Fani Kayode, what he has to say regarding the Nigerian situation.
Whereby herdsmen and ISWAP warriors, as some would call them, went into a church in Owo and killed no less than 50 people. Next event, about a week later, that's 3 weeks ago, you had a situation where ISWAP warriors, bandits they call them in some parts, attacked and killed no less than 90 people in Zamfara State. Next event, not too long after that, approximately 1 week or so ago, or just over a week ago in Niger State, ISWAP warriors attacked a community in Niger State and killed no less than 45 people, 30 of them soldiers. And finally, just a few days ago, ISWAP warriors attacked Kuje prison and bombed their way in, freeing no less than 600 people, 300 of whom were recovered later and found. And of the 300, according to the Ministry of Defense, over 60 of them were Boko Haram fighters. As a matter of fact, every single Boko Haram fighter in that facility was freed and has not been found ever since. I know that facility very well. It was built by the British. I was locked up there for some time, and it really is quite an extraordinary place. It's actually hidden. They targeted that facility and freed their fellow terrorists. Now, the most disturbing thing about this is that there's clearly an orchestration behind the whole thing. 1 month, all these events, and countless others long before then. The interesting thing is that when it came to the Kuje prison attack, the DSS informed the military about precisely what was going to happen and told the military where those boys were, and nothing was done about it. The military ignored these warnings. Where those boys were hiding, they were left alone, they were not rooted out, and they carried out their operation with immense precision. Worst of all is the fact that the soldiers that were actually posted in that area were withdrawn 24 hours before this event took place. And these boys operated for no less than 3 hours, bombing, killing, maiming, and pulling down walls and freeing their colleagues. Again, there's an orchestration going on. It gets worse. About 3 months or so ago, we had the attack on the train to Kaduna. Again, I can authoritatively tell you that the DSS informed the Nigerian military that this was going to happen and asked them to deploy to man those areas and flush out those boys from the forest. Again, the military said no. And the question that needs to be answered is, why is it that the military refused to do their duty? Why is it that they don't do anything? In the case of Niger State, when those people were killed, when those people and those soldiers were killed in Niger State, Nothing was done. The military offered no response after their own soldiers had been murdered, after their own soldiers had been slaughtered in this way. So what's going on in Nigeria? Well, in my view, like I said earlier, there is an orchestration. I think it has an international dimension. Most of these fighters are actually non-Nigerians. Most of these people come from outside Nigeria. They're very well armed as our military, if not better. They're very courageous, they're highly motivated, and they're very, very brave. So we need to find out precisely who is behind all this, what is happening, and what's the objective. My view is that the objective is to ensure that we have chaos in this country. Chaos, then comes the order. Out of chaos comes order. That's their motto. And what they're trying to do is destabilize the country, terminate the democracy, ensure there's a military coup and the installation of an interim national government. Is this acceptable? Of course it's not. Nobody wants that. But some deluded individuals clearly are up to no good. And I think that given the fact that the NIA, that's the Nigerian International Security Agency, that takes care of external intelligence, the DSS, which takes care of internal intelligence, and even the Nigerian police have really done as best as they can. They've done an excellent job, as a matter of fact, in the circumstances. The only security agency that does not seem to be functioning properly is the military. And it's not just the military, it's the military high command. The junior officers, the boys in the field are dying like flies. They're killing them and they're giving their lives, sacrificing their lives for Nigeria. But the military high command, in my view, has failed. And I use this opportunity to call on not just the Chief of Army Staff, but all the service chiefs to resign and bury their heads in shame. And I call on the President to change them and bring in new people that can fight this menace and that can restore sanity to our country. There's also another dimension to this. Apart from the fact that they want chaos, they want to justify what it is that they want to do, and they want carnage so that people will say, well, fine, something needs to change and the government needs to go. Destabilize the government. Apart from that, there's also another objective, to ensure that the 2023 elections do not hold. Where you have chaos and where you have fighting, you cannot have an election. That is another objective. Now, if the election does hold, what they will do is that either during or after the election, as an aftermath of that, there'll be all kinds of contrived violent acts all over the country in which the whole thing will then ensure that everything is stopped, the whole thing is destabilized, discredited, and we are back to square one.
And there it is right there. So Femi Fani-Kayode is speaking to an attempt to truncate democracy, a witting attempt, a planned plot to truncate democracy in Nigeria and install military rule. So there's a lot of sympathy for that, which of course is something that people have permutated with in the past. Alexander Gomez, of course, he always delights in good delivery, and it's super chance to acknowledge Fani-Kayode's good delivery. It says FFK, the epitome of elite education, Kushe Aburo. So Kushe Aburo, I suspect that Fani-Kayode will be probably the same age bracket as the mighty Mr. Gomez. But thank you for the super chat, Alexander. So from Alexander Gomez's super chat, let's go to Soli, who wants us to vote for Atiku and divide Nigeria. So Soli, are you ready to go? You have to look at
I'm ready to go.
Since when did you start putting? Are you turning into OVA? What's going on here?
Oh, I was inspired by OVA.
Look at that.
You know, this is rather satire for me.
Okay, is that what are you using? Is it a green screen? How are you able to do
green
that?
Screen.
Okay, it's a green screen. All right.
No, not green screen, but you can do it on Streamlabs. You know, if you go to settings, then you go to virtual background, you can add a picture there.
All right, because I've tried to do that, but with no success. But
it has to be a JPEG file.
All right.
Try that.
All right. So where am I even taking you? Do you want to start off with Fani-Kayode, or do you want to?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, this is what Fani-Kayode is saying, and this is an opinion that always had currency somewhat. Everybody feels that something big and seismic is going to happen, either before or during 2023. Nobody has any confidence that it's going to be smooth sailing all the way through. There's a sense that something is afoot, and there are plots in the shadows, and this is what Fani-Kayode is hinting at. Solly.
So see, I've been watching that guy. and I never knew about him before. But I didn't have past antecedents with him, so I didn't want to judge the guy straight on like that because I've made that mistake earlier in my life. You don't judge people by how you see them. So now, this guy, this guy, let me tell you what I think he does. Hmm? When he's running low on cash, he starts talking logically. He starts talking in such a logical term that even the layman can understand what is going on in Nigeria. And it will alert the authority upward, which will then grab him, give him some money, and before you know it, he will change his narrative and say Nigeria is good. This is what I noticed he has been doing often. So this can be another way of saying, I need money, oh. I'll start telling Nigerians what is going on, oh. You better give me money to shut me up. I can expect that they will grab this man, and before you know it, you will start saying good things about Nigeria again. This kind of people probably maybe he started out by telling Nigerians, I know Nigerians are stubborn, they didn't listen to him, so he turned it into a career because he has, and they'll be worried about. I'm not even sure why they are worried about him. Was he in politics or something? Because he probably has some amount of following that will surely listen to him and be
Do you
concerned
know who
about
he
him.
is, Solly? Do you know who he
I
is?
don't really know who he is. I don't really. I only found out
Okay.
about him that.
It's from one of the most premier Nigerian families, the Fanekade family. So it's from a gold standard family. And he
Mm,
went to Oxford, I think, with the Ojukus. Not with the Ojukus. He used to actually date the now wife of the late Ojuku, Bianca Ojuku. So that used to be one of the girls that used to sample in Oxford then. And then under the Obasanjo administration, he was a minister of aviation for a period. I'm not sure if it's for the fullness of the term of that administration. And then under the Goodluck Jonathan space, he was one of the key spokespersons in the campaign that Goodluck Jonathan lost. So long and steeped in Nigerian politics, the Fanekayede name, and especially Femi.
okay. Yeah. So what I see is that he has political experience, so he knows how everything goes on the inside. So even if he's on the outside, he can still understand what is going on. How he's talking is how I would expect people like Peter Obi and Sowore to be talking. Do you understand?
But
Both
they
the
can't talk
lame.
like that now. You have to
Yes,
understand that. No,
yes,
no,
that's
because
what
he has the freedom of not contesting for anything. But they are contending for something. So they have to be guarded in their own utterances now. You don't just talk anyhow. What are you talking about?
unfortunately in Nigeria you don't, but normally you can.
Nowhere in the world do you. Politicians are notorious for double talk now,
Hmm.
globally. What are you talking about, man?
Okay, but anyway, the layman, but they also shut him up with money, So yes, it's making sense. He does that, but he's not doing it for anybody. He's doing it for himself. At the end of the day, in
Oh, oh,
summary,
oh, oh, all right. So that's your assessment. It's a money grab.
yes, and
All
we keep
right.
falling for it.
All right. All right. Let me take you to okay. Let me because this thing that Sule Lamido is saying, it goes actually beyond conspiracy theory somewhat, because a lot of people they are under this theory as well. I'm not being too far from it as well. Buhari loyalists are planning to work against Tinubu support Atiku in 2023. Sule Lamido, one of the senior functionaries of PDP, and a lot of people, even I myself, have theorized this on this platform that because Atiku won the 2019 election, I think everybody knows that, and I think what people are saying is one of the ways that they were able to douse his temper and reassure him is the reassurance that come 2023 they will give him his mandate back and give him the presidency. So that is this, and that seems to be what seems to embolden Atiku to act at will. So I think this is sort of roundabout where Sule Lamido is at as well. But what are you making of that, Solly? Buhari's
Mm.
loyalists planning to work against Tinubu support Atiku in 2023. Is this something that you chime with?
Yeah, it's something I can chime with. It's something that I can believe, because what I realized, and I'm saying it again. This is what made me, realize that okay, yes, you know, in terms of decision, a Yoruba man can say, I'll vote Peter Obi, but last, I know, and I believe that other Yoruba people too, when it gets to that last final place, they will rather select Tinubu. No matter what has been said, no matter what they've seen, no matter. So I know the North too is like that. I know they are like that too. This they are not okay. Yes, they may support Tinubu and this thing. Yes, they will say, I can vote for Tinubu. Why not? He's a Muslim, you know. But when it gets to that final ballot paper, they look and say, but this guy is from the North and he's a Muslim too. Hmm. You know, it's like taking a very hard exam. You know, it's like taking physics in WAEC or further maths in WAEC. So it will be a very hard. So they will just choose the easy one, which is Atiku. To them, it will be an easy choice. But now, this is where Tinubu's strategy will come into play. Two things. How many percent of the northern votes does he need to get in? If he conquered the West, you know,
Sorry,
and maybe
how many was?
how many votes does he need from the North? How many percent?
I think he would need winning numbers in the north significantly because he has to win the majority vote and then
Mm,
25% in two-thirds of the states. So he
okay.
has to really, yeah, 25% in two-thirds of the states. So that'll be about 26 states. So,
Okay,
and then the overall majority as well to be announced
okay,
president.
so so Tinubu needs to win at least 25% of the votes from the North.
Well, of 26 states. So, and
Okay,
that would
that's not
mean
bad.
that, and
That's
then,
not
but then
bad.
he also has to win the majority vote as well.
What are the majority votes?
He has to win the majority vote. So let's say there are 2,000 votes. So he has to win at least 1,100 or 1,001. So that will be the majority vote. So he has to
Okay.
win overall. But then out of that overall win, he has to win 25% of two-thirds of the states of the country, which is about 26 votes, which is about 26 states. It's not
Okay.
complex. Why are you making it like
No,
math?
no, it's that 26 states. When you said 26 states, I thought you were talking about only the North. Okay, then he can do it. It's something that, you know, Tinubu
Yeah,
can
but it's
do.
not going to win
No,
anywhere.
no, one man. The question
Right.
Sodi was asking is that how many percentage does he need to win in the north? It's not
Yeah.
talking about all,
Yeah,
the
no.
entire Nigerian state.
Yeah,
It,
what I'm explaining to him is that he has to win a majority vote really somewhat in the north.
I think he can win. If he
Yeah.
makes this guy his vice president, what's
Would
the
I
name
be
of the
right in
short
saying
guy?
that Ajan Lekoko that he has to win?
yes, you are right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has to make somebody, that short guy in the North, is it Kaduna or what's his name? That is it
Mm.
Kaduna. One man, can you
Uh,
remember?
El
Erufai.
El
Rufai.
Rufai. If he gets El Rufai as his vice, then he can do it. But there's another strategy that I'm looking at too, but we don't know if it's sure. Is when APC went to go and meet Wike, because Wike, you know, is very fragile now. He's very emotional right now. As the loyalist in APC regime, Buhari's regime that wants to go to meet Atiku, Wike will already know some of the things that is going on in PDP that can favor Tinubu in APC. So you chop from here, everything will chop from you too. So you know that's why I say you adapt to what would the Fulani do. When I said it, I was mocked, but it's really what would the Fulani do. You know that's how you win the game. Simple.
All right. So I have this news that it was sent in by Jafar. It's not been verified yet, but I'll share the screen with you. Just because you just mentioned El Rufai now. So, but it's been reported on the Vanguard, so it has some veracity, but not yet fully confirmed. It says, breaking, Tinubu picks former Borno Governor Shatima as running mate. So there he is. Reports reaching Vanguard indicates that the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate for the 2023 polls, Bola Tinubu, has confirmed Senator Kashim Shatima as his running mate. Meanwhile, News Agency of Nigeria also reported in one of its bulletins on Sunday that the vice presidential candidate will be unveiled to Buhari uh, who is the leader of the party in his hometown in Daura. So there it is. So there it is. Essentially, it says developing stories. So this seems to be fresh of the print sort of a thing. But there it is. So sorry. That's Shetima now in play. But yeah. So back to what you were saying.
Is Borno State a large state in the north?
It's somewhat of a large state, but it is really the epicenter of the Fulani nest
Hmm.
and the and the religion.
No, they are Kanorio.
Are they
Borno, they are
Kanuri?
Kanoris. Yeah,
All right.
they are Kanori people.
Oh, all right. So there
Yeah.
it is.
But as long as it's part of the major states, it's still a win for Tinubu. You work. Maybe he was too scared of Erufai, because I think Erufai is more domineering, and you don't want a domineering vice president. But I thought he would be ready to take the risk.
Yes, El Rufai would have been a better bet for him. I also because but Shetima will put in a performance. So because if you see his media appearances, he knows very well how to walk the space. So he understands. And you saw that clip that I posted on the platform a couple of days ago. It's a real Igbo hating sort of a person. So that will come into play, of course, but we'll see how that plays out. Kulata super chats to confirm that. It says, Shetima is Tinubu's pick for VP, grapevine gist. So thank you for the super chat, Kulata. So back to you then, Solly. So you were on Tinubu possibly being betrayed by their bookies.
Well, now you see, he sees it the same way I see it. If betrayal comes from Fulani, oh, will I be surprised? Oh, the Fulani betrayed us. Oh, oh, woe me. It's not surprising. So you have to be prepared for things like that. Don't say, oh, they must not. Why would they do that? They must not do that. If a lion bites you, will you be asking yourself, why is the lion eating you? You have to be logical to be able to beat these people. And you have to be ready for them to do what they will naturally normally do. You can have your good eyes, but it's always good to be cautious. So I don't think Tinubu will be surprised by it. We've seen what he did for the primaries. At the end of the day, how many votes? So if they try to do any of their thing, he's ready. He's ready.
You know that if they don't want him to be president, he will not be president because
Yes,
if we
but
go
it's
if
going
we,
to have to be very obvious.
well, they wouldn't really care. But
Hmm.
if we go by the 2019 election, which was a categorical rejection of Buhari, and
Mhm.
they foisted him on the space, everybody could see what played out. And not Atiku. When Atiku was so aghast, he said, "It not even under the military, when we had very poor spaces, could they rig with such audacity as what happened in 2019?" And they did it and they just moved on. What can you do? What will you do?
One man.
They'll just kill him one day.
One man. So can you highlight my name? You know, this thing
Uh,
that you just said
don't
is
worry,
why
don't worry. The super chat is
is
paid for. Your name is not paid for. Don't worry.
this thing that you just said is why I said voting article to divide Nigeria.
Hmm.
That thing is really, really going to divide Nigeria if they vote in article. And maybe it's finally time. Maybe they should all just vote in article and finally suffer, till they realize there is ethnic lines and we cannot live together. So let's vote in article so that we can find if you want Yoruba nation, encourage people to vote in article. If you want Biafra, encourage people to vote in article. You have your nation very, very quickly. Don't worry. Your leaders, will want it too very soon. So that's why you have to vote in article to divide Nigeria. It's a
If
very,
if
very
Atiku becomes president of Nigeria, the Yorubas are screwed.
yes, and we all want out. Everybody will agree, even the leaders. Same thing in the east. I don't think the people in the east like
No,
this whole
no, the East will be all right because his politics seems to be towards the East, but the Yorubas will be screwed if
okay,
it'll be
but
like Goodluck Jonathan's administration again when the Yorubas are excluded from governance.
yes, but then we didn't have the ideology of Yoruba nation. Now we do. So we'll see what happens.
All right, brilliant. So let me acknowledge Alexander Superchat before I take you on to another talking point. It says, breaking news, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has just won the 2020. Alexander, please, now they'll come after you for this statement. Though. So this is Alexander Gomez saying it, or not me. But it says, breaking news, Bola Ahmed Tinubu uh, has just won the 2023 presidential election. Lagos State for once will have a Lagosian as president. Congratulations, brother me. So that's Alexander Gomez now putting his neck out and making that assertion. People will clip this, of course, Alexander, and they will use it to whip you if things don't go the way you've predicted. So that's Alexander making that bold prediction via super chat. So that is Alexander making the description, the prediction, as Sodi is trying to use divided something, checking text from Babe. When is she asking you to come over, Solly? What is she saying?
It's
Eh?
business, business,
It's business.
business.
What is business? So this is a departure somewhat from Nigeria. Solely, Paul Kagame seeks to rule Rwanda for another 20 years. So he's ruled Rwanda for already about 23 years. So he wants to rule it for another 20 years, and he has changed the constitution of that country for him to be able to rule that country in perpetuity. So this is a malaise that afflicts the African continent. So you can substitute Paul Kagame with Museveni, and it's pretty much the same thing. What is
Ah,
this then, president for life thing that seems to dog the African continent?
what do you mean African continent? Most of Europe is like that too.
Which country in Europe has a president for life?
No, not president for life, but like, they have leaders, monarchy that have been there for years. And still Netherlands has
Yeah,
a
those are
king and
monarch. They have monarchies in Yoruba land too. They rule for life. We're talking about presidents.
well, uh, if you change the constitution, are they still going to have an election?
Well, they will ask what they will have what they purport to be, and they will have the sort of election that they have in Russia, where they will tell you that Putin won by 94%. So he will write. What are you talking about?
Well,
Somebody wants to be. Somebody changed the constitution to allow himself rule for life, and you're talking about election. What do you think will happen in that election? They will vote him out.
well, but see, at the end of the day, it all depends on the people. If the people don't want it, they will take action. Look at Sri Lanka. We should all be ashamed of ourselves. But anyway, Sha, we all sit down, cry, complain while they do it again as usual. Nothing will happen, nothing will change. If the people don't want it, it will not be there, you know. But at the end of the day, the people will accept it softly, you know. So what can we do? You don't push what people will not allow.
All right. And finally, to Abubakar Malami marrying this now spent child of Malam Buhari. So this is a lady that has been married, 6 children already been pumped out of her. So he's taking her as his third wife. What do you think is in play there? I suspect that he's trying to shore up his corruption and provide immunity for himself by marrying
No,
into.
no.
Yeah.
Yes, he's just trying to buy security. He's trying to make sure he's doing it to the extreme level of making sure that he marry a family member.
Mm.
I know say my husband is in jail.
Mm. Daddy,
you
what
know,
daddy, what will you do now? Daddy, do something. My husband has been arrested.
you know, and when I say these guys are smart, you may say, oh, they are not smart. No? If I take these people's details and I would have carried it to my lectures in university, my lecturers would have called them smart. So that's the
Um,
basis
uh,
me I'm judging it on.
Sorry. Are you easily able to decipher the reasons why he has married this Buhari's daughter that has 6 children?
Yes.
So
Okay,
then
we
it's not
can
smart.
decipher it, but is it
It's not.
working? Yes,
It's not
he's
smart.
working and
It's
he's
not. There's
doing
not.
it. You may
Is
say,
doing obvious. Yeah. Go on.
look, one man, it's not everybody that can do this thing that he's doing. You know, the guy is a psychopath. Yeah, let's be honest. The guy is a
No.
psychopath.
It's a desperate move. You know that he wanted to park his immunity in the Kebbi State House, and he couldn't do that because he had to resign as the Minister of the whatever Ministry of Justice, and that will expose him one, and then he will not be able to conclude the $500 million scam that is running with Neduoko. So he's abandoned the Kebbi State House, but he still needs to park his immunity. So he's now gone to marry Buhari's daughter to park his immunity under that name.
He's hacking reality. He knows that he knows the reality he's in. Unlike other Nigerians who cry and complain and say things should be like this, he's hacking the reality of his environment. And to what I learned in school is that this kind of person is a smart person. I'm telling you, that is what they taught me in my history classes. This guy is hacking reality. He's not going to sit down there and complain and say what to, and be waiting for what to happen. He's hacking the reality of his environment. If we were in an, if this were the wildlife and they were a bunch of animals, he's the one that will survive. You know, so you have to be able to hack the reality of your environment too and stop complaining. You know, you are not in America, you are in Nigeria. Know your environment, understand your environment, and work with it. You know,
It's never really often considered smart when you do something that is obvious and is easily unbundled and deciphered. It's not really. It's lacking in sophistry. No real
yes,
kernel. It's crude and rudimentary stuff.
yes, but throughout history, a lot of people, in fact, a lot of warriors could be easily deciphered. It did not mean that they were not winning; they were winning and surviving battles, because they knew what they were doing. That is why people formed military. Yes, you know you are going to come with your army. Yes, but who is going to win? Who understands the environment more? This is how me I was taught through their own history anyway. So you look down on these people and they continue to win and go higher. Because if you look at it in reality, who is going higher, who is winning, who is crying and who is complaining? You know, in that environment. But anyway, Sha, we can both have our own views on it.
No, well, that's the point. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? Difference of
Yes,
opinion. That's the beauty of
yes,
it. So that's Solly who now has a. I think this is what they call a satire. Is this
yes,
satire? This your.
yes.
So it's a Solly now the comedian. So thank you, Solly the comedian. From Solly the comedian to a man fully serious here on business. Ajanle Koko, are you ready? Ajanle Koko.
Yeah, one man.
All right, brilliant. Good to have you, Ajanle, as always. So let me kick you off where I kicked us, Solly, off the Fenimi Kapanikade expose, who paints a picture that we've already suspected that there are shadowy figures orchestrating dark and evil things towards the Nigerian space. He's hinting that at a possible military takeover, but more to the broader thing that he's hinting that we should prepare ourselves for a seismic sort of event that will catch us off guard in the thrust towards 2023. So what are you then making of the back and forth between Afanikade and the defense headquarters?
Thank you, woman. Let me say good morning, afternoon, evening to every person listening to us around the world. Please click on the like button, share, and subscribe if you have not done so. Fanika Ode for coming out with this video to tell us what exactly happened with regard to attack on Kuje prison and previous attack several places. I think it's just telling us that he, as one of the ruling class in Nigeria, that he knows better. He knows what is going on, and that what is happening in our country with as our security continue to deteriorate every day. is a sign of bad thing to come our way in 2023. I think it's just acting as a good citizen that is well known to speak up and shake the administration to wake up to their responsibility. And if other Nigerians at I hope in Nigeria, if they can speak up like this and start hitting on the administration and their failure on the security of the state, maybe they can wake up to their responsibility. I can easily just perceive that video as a way of shaking up the administration to wake up to their responsibility and secure the state. And, you know, other Nigerians should emulate him. It is not the time for us to keep quiet and allow the security to continue to deteriorate. We should be able to shake the administration. We should be able to, people that know what is going on within the administration as well, you stand up and be patriotic and, speak up what they know. If there are some people within the security apparatuses and that are, colluding or rather, doing all this, allowing this security to fail for one reason or the other, they should speak up. Our Air Commodore Adewumi alerted us some months back as well. It looked like it was a child play. He alerted us. He informed us about what was really going on within the security architecture of Nigeria, the Fulanization agenda and why it's being done. I mean, this guy he alerted us. So people should be coming out now. People should be patriotic. People should be people that knows what is going on, should speak to the nation. And that's the only way that nation can be safe. If people sit back and don't want to talk for the fear that, oh, maybe I will be arrested or something might happen to me, when the worst come, it will consume all of us. So this guy, what do you call him? Farika Ode, I think we have to give it to him for being courageous to come out and speak up, said what he knew, what he had, and everything. I believe he has is privileged to some information, intelligent report, and some stuff because he's closer to some of these people in the military and some of the governors too. He's very close to you. You can see him referring to Samfara, and so it's close. It's a close guy to many governors across the country. So I think he has done a good thing to speak up. So other Nigerians too that knows well.
Adale Koko, why some people might feel that there's some veracity to what he's saying is that people find it hard to reconcile that a high-profile facility like the Kuje prison could be attacked in the manner that it was, and these people operated for 3 hours solid, uninterrupted, without anybody trying to even push back, and then they just walk away. How is that possible? Look at the sort of people. That Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, they were fighting to have Nnamdi Kanu released taken from the DSS facilities to Kuje prison. There was a time they were fighting for that. So therefore, for the grace of Nnamdi Kanu could have been in that prison. All the governors that have been jailed for corruption, they are in that prison. Abba Kyari, the criminal cop, he's in that prison, and you're telling us that somebody can just stroll in and operate for 3 hours solid. So that people find it difficult to reconcile that, except of course they were given the corridor to operate, which is what Fani Kayode is hinting at.
Yes, yes. Fani Kayode is playing a good role of a good citizen, to tell us everything that he knew and what he had. And according to him in that video, some military guys that were stationed there were withdrew maybe a day before, and that gave way for free operation of those terrorist attack on the facility. Who was responsible for that? For the withdrawal of those military personnel that were stationed there? Who was responsible for that? No CCTV in that prison. There are a lot of security lapses there where they called, I think it is maximum security prison, maximum prison, or maybe medium.
It's a medium prison, but still, so, the profile of prisoners there is just,
Yeah. Yes. So, who was responsible for this? So, it's just, this is very bad for that country. And will this be the end? Obviously, no. More will come. Because, you see, the psychology of it is that when terrorists carry out attack successfully, that emboldens them to carry out more. They have done it several times.
What Fani Kayode is hinting at, Ajanle Koko, is the ease with which they carry out these attacks. So it's not as though they are catching the Nigerian state off guard, because they've been doing it so routinely that the Nigerian state is on alert that these people are out to carry out attacks. But even with the country being aware that these people are out to do this, these people still do it with relative ease. We saw what happened in Norway. But you can say it's in the interior. But what about Abuja, which is at the heart of the country, and then a medium-sized prison with high-profile people? So everything hints to complicity. It's not incompetent, it's complicity. And this is what Fani Kayode is inviting us to consider.
Oh, yes. High degree of complicity is there. That cannot be ruled out. Some people within the security, the architecture of Nigeria, complicit in this, and they should be fished out. And that is what we should focus on. The leaders in that country, people that have that mouth, people that are shakers in the country, should put pressure on the administration so that something has to be done. When something like this happens, and people that are responsible for the security of the country and nothing happened to them, what does that tell us? That's so that we accommodate failure, we allow failure to operate easily in our country, particularly with the security of the country. You can't mix security with politics. This is what is going on. Security has been mixed up with politics. People that are not competent to be in position, strategic position of our, of our defense, security, and architectural security, architectural and apparatus, and not people that are in charge of them are not competent for that failure. For that position, and that's why we are failing, because we have these people that are favored by, tribal Fulani men in charge that are not competent. That is the problem. Competence was not. I mean, it's not the watchdog when they appoint people to all these strategic positions. It's just Buhari administration just look for Fulanis here and there to man all this security, and these people are not the best among them. These people are just people that are favored. They are not even the best among them. That is the problem, and that's why we are failing. So I give it to Fanifa Akadi. He has done well, to speak out for what he knew, and the administration, if they believe that he has done something wrong, they can go and pick him up, and I believe some lawyer will be ready to defend him.
Oh, all right, brilliant.
This is bad. One man, what is going on in that country?
Oh, all right. Thank you, Ajan Lekoko. So, Ajan Lekoko, let me take you outside of Nigeria and take you to Rwanda instead. They always cite Rwanda as a shining example of an African success story, but is it? So this guy now that has been in situation, he has been there for 23 years going, but that's not satiated his agenda. So he feels that his work is not yet done, and he's telling us that he's going to rule that country for another 20 years. So Paul Kagame, of course, we're talking about, who has changed the constitution to enable him be president for life. By the time he completes the additional 20 years, he'll be 84. But then do you think he will ever consider his project complete in Rwanda until death calls him? President for life and African Malays, Ajan Lekoko.
It's unfortunate that we have a person like this in position of power. African leaders are very greedy leaders, very authoritarian, and people that lack vision, and they don't when they are in position of power, they don't look back at history when they are taking some irrational action. So what he is doing is trying to perpetuate himself in power. He doesn't have respect for rule of law. It's a dictator. All voices of opposition in that country, he silenced them, he killed them. That is what he's doing. People can say, oh, he built Rwanda, he's doing this. But when you have democracy, what you call democracy, opposition, voices help democracy to grow as well, because when an administration is not doing what is right, they correct them. They put them on the wrong path. They use the what do you call it? The institution, government institutions, function well. That is the element that drives democratic governance. The institution, and not the man. So this man is all in all. It's there.
Now, does this surprise and somewhat disappoint you? Because this guy, they both in Africa and globally, they want him as a shining example. But is he really any different from Museveni or any of the other buck-toothed African just yams that we have?
You see, what he's going to do, the long-term effect is that he will run that country into another civil war.
This was how Mugabe started as a hero,
yes.
But then he died a villain.
Yeah, he will run that country into a big problem, because if we get to a point, the people of the country or some opposition will stand up and say, we cannot take this no more. And, struggle will start from there. And then external forces will come in, because along the line, he's going to step international. He'll be carrying out some action that will, run in conflict with international community, international interests, and then the voices of opposition will rise up against him, and the international interests will fund that voice of opposition, and then the problem will start. and they will start. They could run into a serious conflict with international interests, and they will start sanction against it, and things will start to, turn bad against the country, and he will want to put his foot down, to fight along because he's already established himself as a dictator. And these things will continue to reverse against the country. So this is what happened. What he's doing now is trying to keep himself there as president for life. And the country does not, no person own a country. The country belongs to every citizen. So what is doing is very bad. And the long-term effect of it is going to be very bad for that country. It's going to reverse
I think
that
that
country.
you remember what happened in that country not that long ago.
Yeah.
This is a precursor to a revisiting of that space, because
Yeah.
we know that country is ethnically tense, and if
Yes.
one ethnicity wants to dominate for life, then it's only that much. Then we'll start to hear the rumblings in Rwanda again.
Yes. So, and another is planting a time bomb now in that country by allowing these criminals from Britain or some refugee that people doesn't have their record is accepting them to come to that country, and what that is going to reshape the population of that country in the future, and there's going to be conflict. You're going to see some Afghanistan origin in Rwanda. You're going to see some Iraqi and some other countries. So that this guy is planting bomb for is planting how do I call it
Landmines.
landmines. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what, and it's going to. It's not building a better future for that country with the way he has constituted himself as a dictator. It's not good. It's not showing a good example. It's bad. You change the constitution, everything just to favor
It's
you.
almost funny, because this is going back to the days of Idi Amin Baba, when we thought we'd gone
Yeah,
past that, when you just change the
yeah,
constitution to.
yeah.
I thought
This
we'd
is
already
this is
gone
the
past
same
that
way.
in Africa.
This is the same way Kole Mama Gaddafi started
Yeah.
too. When he took over government, though he was military, the country was in shambles. I mean, they don't have the infrastructure. They are backward. But he built that country. He remained there, and for 40 years, you can't be in one place for a long time, position of leadership for a long time, and that you would definitely get a pushback from the people one day. An international community will come in support of the opposition, and that is when the problem will come on the country. So that is what is. And I'm surprised. This is a guy that is well educated. This is a guy that attended Harvard. What is wrong with Africans? I've seen him deliver lecture. There's
It's
some of the
always
videos he
impressive.
got in Harvard.
I've seen him too. I've seen him take on Western journalists, and
Yes.
the way he speaks, I'm just applauding him. That yes, don't let them. He's not so he impresses in that way, but then with he delivers in this way that it's quite a spectacle. President for
What,
life.
what is wrong with
40,
Africans? For God's sake, why can't they learn from
40 years
history?
of governance, 40 years. Because
Why
of
can't you
now
learn from history? History is there to guide you. That is why we have history. To guide us here today to know how to move forward. That is what history meant for. And what I just don't get it. But it won't. It's going to run that country into a serious crisis in the future, and that will be what he is building today will be destroyed in the future. That is what the dictatorship. That is what it means. So it's just bad.
All right. Finally, Ajale Koko, briefly on this. Buhari's loyalists planning to work against Tinubu support Atiku in 2023. Sule Lamido making the headline, but this headline is not news because a lot of people are permutating that as well. that Atiku is going to be the next president, no matter what the electorates feel. So what are you then making then of this bold statement by Lamido Sule?
Well, it's their party. If that is, you remember I have said it here several times that the crisis in APC is more than the crisis in PDP. There are crises across the state, particularly in the northern part, in APC that could prevent Tinubu from winning that presidential election. Remember, Fani Kayode said it. He alerted the country alerted the people of APC that over 22 senators are getting ready to move to PDP from APC. And what that tells you is that they are moving votes. They are carrying their structure into PDP, which will give PDP that vote in presidential election. And we have seen some senators already move out from APC to PDP. So more to come, more will surely come because there are crises. These crises have been there because created by the governors that will not allow free and fair primary to take place within the party, but rather manipulate the process, put their own primary process and put their own favored candidate, and this caused disaffection within the party, and those people want to fight back by moving to a party that is ready to accommodate them. So these people that are disaffected are moving majority into PDP, and some are moving into NMPP. So this is the problem. So saying that some people are working, well, we don't know. It could be true, but what I know is that they have more crisis in that party, and that is why you see the chairman of the party went to National Assembly recently, maybe like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, to talk to the National Assembly member not to move out of the PDP and see how it's going to resolve the problem. So there are crises, and that is going to jeopardize, have a setback on Tinubu in his quest to becoming the presidency. So that crisis is not good for the Tinubu candidacy at all within the party. So that is about that. Then on the Tinubu, that is what this guy as his vice president, Shettima. Well, you see, history has a way of repeating itself. When Abiola contested and won that presidential contest that was annulled, this is what happened too. Tinubu from Abiola from the west, Babakana Kingibe from Borno State. So we have to pray that if everything go well, let the bad side of history not repeat itself this time around. What I mean is that if Tinubu should win the election, let us not see the bad side. The same thing that happened to Abiola, not happen to him. Let us not see a situation where the election will be annulled and the country will run into very, very big political problem that could bring that country down. So that's on the political. That's the prayer that we should embark upon. Then on the other side, I think what Tinubu is trying to, his calculation is this. Atiku is from that region too. He is trying to neutralize Atiku candidate. Atiku's vote from that region because people of that region will look at Shetima too as, oh, this is our son, let us give him vote. So that could give him vote. But on the other hand, the people from the Northwest, their vote is now look open to everybody. Kwankwaso is there. Kwankwaso will penetrate the Northwest further than before. Kwankwaso will campaign hard in the Northwest and try to placate people's vote that, look, I'm your son, we can do it, let us have it, let us go and get it again, you know. So it's going to be, what we are going to see is an election of Wazobia, as we said it, one man. People from each region of that country will vote for candidates of their choice. And I want to repeat, as I said some time ago, that the region in that country that will decide who will be the president of that country is South-South. And South-South, if they should vote Atiku, if Atiku should win South-South, Atiku will be the next president. I'm still standing on that because I know Atiku will perform better than anybody in the North. South-South, if Atiku should get South-South, that's the end of the that's the winner right there. So that's the way I see it, one man. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. So that's Ajanle Koko giving you his permutation. So that's Ajanle Koko's permutations. Let's go from Ajanle Koko to Niger as we huddle towards the close of the session. But before we come to Niger, let's acknowledge Kulata's super chat who says, lame duck politicians cross carpet every 4 years. So that's to the space where Ajanle Koko was saying that Fanika Ode has indicated 22 senators are looking to cross parties. So carpet crossing, of course, a known dynamic within politics, but it's just a culture within the Nigerian space. And this is what Akulata is saying. Lame duck politicians cross carpet every 4 years. So thank you for the super chat, Akulata. As we go on to Niger. So to Niger, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you for having me. Yeah, go ahead.
Brilliant. Good to have you. So let me kick you off where I kicked everybody off. The Fanika Ode bombshell, who is indicating that there are shadowy figures in the background orchestrating dark and foreboding futures for the Nigerian state. He's indicating that the security agencies are complicit in all of these things that are going on because we cannot continue to say they are caught off guard or they are incompetent. So complicity seems to be the real explanation that can really explain what is going on. He cites the Kuje prison example that clearly they colluded with them. The defense headquarters come back to clap back at it, which then adds even more veracity to the assertion. But what are you then making of Fanika Ode's posturing to Niger?
I think that Fanika Ode, if he wants to be saying things like that, needs to have some substantiated evidence for what he's saying, because we have to be responsible here. We are talking about our nation, and you are talking about things that could foster distrust, according to what the military officials said. Because I just read some of the articles on that. That could foster distrust between security institutions, which are vital institutions for the functioning of the state. If Fanika is so concerned about it, then let him provide its evidence. You can't just come and make statements. I don't understand how people do this. They just come out and make statements without any evidence. Like, he could literally say that they were using witchcraft to do this and no evidence. And I don't know why people do this. And even if he thinks he's got evidence, let's say he's got credibility somehow, what makes him think whoever fed him that information didn't get the evidence from their backside? They just say stuff without. We can't be treating the nation like this. And to say that military officials, that their soldiers are dying, are complicit in the whole thing, just like, it boggles the mind. How can people just be saying stuff like that? And the reason why they say this,
does it boggle the mind though? But does it not cohere with the reason that all these atrocities carried out every single month, every single week, just real seismic events, But then, so we cannot say that the authorities are caught off guard because these things are happening with increasing frequency. So they know it's going, and we know, or we don't wish, but we know that almost certainly within the next few weeks and couple of months, another event will happen. So it's either that they lack the competence, and we cannot continue to say they lack the competence, or they are complicit, or they are complicit. And that Kuje prison is a real good example to indicate complicity. How can bandits operate for 3 hours uninterrupted at Kuje prison without the authorities being complicit in it? So that's a
Yeah,
state argument.
this is my thing, my take on these things. If you don't know, you don't know. Just looking at stuff from your own civilian point of view doesn't necessarily tell you what is actually happening. For all you know, the only deployment of military that they have or response team that they had in that area were securing more vital installation that they cannot leave it because they perceive it as a way of leaving that installation or whatever they are this thing prioritizing a problematic, because if they leave it to go and this thing, then that's a distraction, then they will render something more vital vulnerable. So we don't know, but one thing I know for sure, and I say this all the time, we are undermanned. It's a fact. And if Fanny wants to tell the truth, that is the truth he should be telling. Because if, let's say, there is no intelligence even, but if you have enough people, you will be able to respond whenever there's an incident. This is why in the West, whenever anything happens, the police is there immediately because they have the numbers. They can be there. Remember the London riots? When they had those riots and these people started using, distracting the police and going everywhere. The police were even stretched in London. In the UK, they were stretched. They couldn't secure everywhere. They had to go and start arresting them after the event. And that is the police with higher numbers. So to tell you what Nigerian soldiers and police have to go through, they have lesser numbers, less funding, and less welfare. And they have to function like that. And many of them are dying in the process of doing these things. And somebody comes out and just say, you know what, they could have done better than this. And with what? With what army are you going to? They do that in movies. Let's say with what army? You and what army is going to do it? One soldier that has to protect 2,000 people. Even ShopRite's security guy will not do that job. So why do our leader just come out and start making these statements? Is it that we have to ask ourselves serious questions here? That man, that Fanny that is making this statement, what is his goal? What is his point to divide the security service from the military to weaken the state even further? If he seriously wants to help, maybe he should go there and start fixing things himself. If he knows so much, instead of coming out and trying to divide the country and stating things that will actually
is it dividing the country or alerting the country?
If he's alerting the country, then why is he not alerting the country that the country is the military is not manned? Why is he not doing that critical one? This is why I tell you, our leaders, they are lying to us, many of them. They don't tell us basic truths. We are undermanned. It's a simple fact. Anybody that has Google can tell you that. Why is that these people that know so much, I think it's the professor even, doesn't tell you that.
Why are you trying to blame Fanika for speaking up? What is it?
I'm
Every
blaming
citizen
him
have the right
because
to speak
I
up
know
now.
better. Because I know better now. There was a time I would listen to people like that and just say, oh, they are telling us truth. No, all these people that have been so-called telling us truth all this while, where has it gotten us?
It's a private citizen. You have to blame the government failure for this security
He was a senator, wasn't he?
failure. Does he not have right under democracy to speak up? Why are you after him?
He made assertions without evidence.
Yes, if it is not right, the security should act.
He made assertions without evidence that many Nigerians will latch on to as a biblical truth, and which is wrong. You can't just keep Nigeria. They keep making assertions without any evidence.
There's evidence. Military withdrew some few days before that time from that facility.
Okay.
That is not just lying. That is the truth.
Okay. Military was withdrawn from the facility. Do you know for what purpose? Do you know whether it's a routine process that they use?
Are you serious? And they left the vacuum?
Yes.
No replacement?
Let me tell you something. See, let me tell you something. If you know how this whole thing is a joke to me, you will be surprised. I tell you that a prison without CCTV cameras is a joke. And that prison didn't have CCTV cameras at all. So if you want to talk about the joke, there's a lot of things that is a joke in our country.
Then you
So
can't blame Fani Kayode now.
no, but I hold him responsible for is making statements without direct evidence of what he's saying. If you say, okay, yeah, they moved the military, but if you state it in the context that it's a form of conspiracy, or whether the terrorists were just there, they now know the routine of the prison and waited for the opportunity and struck, what will you say to that? This is the kind of stuff. That's why I consider it irresponsible to me making statements like this, because what they are implying is that the state is sabotaging the state.
How does it look to you? How does it look to you that the state is not sabotaging the state?
No, not in the way he is describing it. The way the state, the people are sabotaging the state is maybe people like him that are making that statement, and people that are also in the military that are fifth column that are also compromising our security. This is why I keep saying it. The people, you have to ask yourself, and I really beg people to really dig deep and find out why we don't have the numbers. We have 200 million people in that country, and we still don't have the numbers, and none of these leaders tell you this. They just pretend, and you can say whatever I like about Tinubu, but he is the only person that touched on that nerve and said, you know what, we are going to recruit a lot of people and just shove them into the military. And the way he described it, which was terrible, he made it sound trivial. But he knew something that none of these politicians are willing to tell people. He said it, that he will recruit a lot of people into the military and feed them this thing, because they forget that you are creating jobs. The money you are spending is not your money. You are going to get the money back. Yeah, it's a win-win. But why is it that Fani Kayode, with all his professional degrees, doesn't know this? These things boggles the mind.
I don't know why you are going after Fani Kayode instead of
I'm going after him for the statement that he's making, because
of the administration. You don't want to hold the administration responsible.
No. I hold the administration responsible, all right.
Assertion is the one causing problem in the country. I mean, what is your position on this?
Fair point for you to say that I'm not going up, because the question was about Fani Kayode. However, if you are talking about the administration, they are just as bad, because clearly Buhari has decided that, you know what, whatever happens, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to try to fix this thing. I'm not even going to try. And that is what I find really a betrayal of our people. And our leaders have been betraying us all this while. They have been doing this repeatedly, and I didn't know that till just about a year or two ago, that our countries are not founded like normal countries. We are not founded like a sovereign state. We are being run as if we are just meant to remain weak enough and strong enough to survive, but weak enough never to become a viable country that can function as a sovereign state. Why are they keeping us in that medium state? They don't want us to grow when we have all the potential.
Are you talking about external orchestration?
Yes, it's possible that's why. What else? What other reason on earth that they have for doing what they are doing? And many of these leaders are always going to the West.
Sorry, Tunaja, are you discountenancing the unusual mix that is Nigeria? Because Nigeria is made up unusually of several ethnic nations that stand alone as a country by themselves, but then has been foisted upon. Imagine a country made up of the Germans, the French, the Italians, and the English. That country will be ungovernable.
So, I used to think that I thought about it and should I consider that as part of the reason, but when I looked at the African continent entirely, the problem persists, whether it's a more homogeneous group or not, like Somalia and Ethiopia. The problem persists. You see, the black countries in Africa are totally undermanned. They spend equivalent to 0.5% on their defense, when other people spend a lot more on their defense. And even if their defense budget is anemically lower than most other nations around the world, and yet they spend 0.5% on it. These are people technically that should be the most paranoid in the world, given their recent history, but yet they are so undermanned. What other explanation do you have for this? It doesn't make sense. Just check the numbers over and over again, compared to any Asian country. You'll be like, what is going on here? Look at South Africa, that is part of the BRICS. Like, compared to any other member of that BRICS, South Africa is like a midget. Like, in short, a midget is a compliment. Brazil alone has a total size military of 4 million, while South Africa is just about 50-something thousand. We are a joke. And this is the thing we as black men and African men have not made our peace with. We have not even started turning our head to where the real problem is. Why is it that other people are doing these things and we are not doing it? There's only one explanation for me on that, and it really does my head in. Why our people are not taking this more seriously when they hear it? Because check the numbers. For me, when I was looking, I was like, this is alarming. And then you have our leaders coming, you have Buhari saying, oh, we are going to tackle it. They don't do anything. They keep talking about technology. Why do they keep talking that? America has the best technology in the world, and yet they have 10 times more soldiers than Nigeria. 10 times. We are not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 times more than Nigeria. And yet we still keep talking about, why is it that our leaders don't know that?
Yeah, but American soldiers are for external aggression. It's not for internal needs. They are for external
They protect their country too. They protect their country, Coast Guard and all.
Yeah, no, they are more for external aggression.
Okay, let's say they are for external aggression. Do you explain China's size? Do you explain Brazil's military size? How about Sri Lanka's military size? If you look at all these countries, their sizes are like mind-boggling. Like if we go by Sri Lanka's proportions, Nigeria should have 4 million soldiers. This is a country of 21 million people, relatively poorer than Nigeria actually, and they have 400. They are 21 million. They have 400,000 soldiers. Why is it that an Asian man that is barely 5 foot tall can manage to defend their territories more than black men that can be up to 7 foot tall? What is going on here? If you have the answer, you tell me, because nothing else makes sense.
All right. So let's leave that as a rhetorical space. But before I take you to the next talking point, to Niger, let me acknowledge. I think this next talking point might well irritate you as well. But before I take you there, let me acknowledge Kulata super chat, which says, what can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So I think he's speaking to the Fani Kayode narrative, and that is his conclusion. What can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So I think from that, we can conclude that he's dismissing Fani Kayode's commentaries out of hand. So thank you for the super chat, Kulata. As I take you to another space, to Niger, Paul Kagame seeks to rule Rwanda for another 20 years. So he has been president of that country since the year 2000. We're in the year 2022 now, but he feels that his work is not even halfway done yet, and he's changed the constitution to rule for another 20 years. President for life, an African problem. To Niger.
Yeah. There was a video of Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe talking about African leaders, that they will get into office and they suddenly realize that it's their time to leave. They'll say, oh, no, I just came and I've not done anything, so I need 4 more years. So then they'll go and make an argument that they need 4 more years. Then they'll tell them, but you just had 4 years. It's like, no, that wasn't a real year because I wasn't elected. So basically, he was basically saying that African leaders, they always think that they have time. Then when it's time for them to go, they don't want to leave. And it was a bit of a funny joke then, but these things that African leaders do, it's a bit of a disappointment. I never see, if you look at this from the lens that I look at African countries, you know I'll never rate Mugabe as the way most people do. I say it all the time. I said Mugabe, Kagame, whatever you say about him, he is still one of the problems. Because if you look at this posture of his military, his country is still like every other country. Fundamentally, it's not even that better. Nigeria's GDP per capita is higher than that of Kagame. Even Human Development Index is not that good. And the guy just talked Pan-Africanism, but there is nothing there. I don't see him as that kind of person that's actually want to give Africans a voice, really. He just talks nice. And yet, this thing that they do and prolong themselves as democratic governments in office perpetually is a form of coup. And they shouldn't be allowed to do this. And I don't think ECOWAS, African Union picked up on this earlier on when Kagame put this law in place. I think now they picked up on it that it's a problem because you can't pretend as if you are running a democratic continent. When the leaders get into office, they use the power of their office to extend their terms in office indefinitely. That is a coup. You are calling for military to come in because when you keep doing that, sooner or later, one tribe is going to be saying like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. You can't carry on doing this. We are going to come and take over government by force. And as a matter of fact, I think Burkina Faso, that's one of the reasons why they came in, if I'm not mistaken. So the democratic regimes too, I think one of the things I proposed was that when I heard about this stuff from last year, I said they should have a system whereby when you are in office, you are not allowed to extend your term in office as a democratically elected president. If you are out of office, you can campaign for it, but don't use your office to extend your change the constitution, because that is a form of coup. It's a form of using the power of the state to take over the state, which is what they accuse the military of doing.
Tunaja, have you ever heard of the phrase "an enigma wrapped in a paradox"? An enigma wrapped in a paradox. So that is what our Paul Kagame is an enigma wrapped in a paradox. Because when you see him presenting internationally and is going after all these colonialists, telling them that, look, you wait upon us enough, we'll decide our future. You don't tell me what to do, and he's frontal and he's aggressive, and you're applauding him. But then when you see him in his own country changing constitution, because he's so wrapped up in that power that he cannot let it go, then you wonder what is going on there. So it's one of everything, it's an enigma wrapped in a paradox. That's
and you're correct there. I never really bought into that really, and even many of our leaders are highly celebrated in Africa. I never bought them. In sub-Saharan Africa, the only leader I respect in terms of keeping a sovereign identity is Eritrean president. One Eritrean soldier is required to defend 25 citizens because he put it that way, and they call him the North Korea of Africa. Yeah, but you won't mess with him, because if you mess with him, you are going to have something to contend with. So, and that country has one of the highest literacy rates in Africa. Of the people under 20 something, they are almost 94% literacy rate. So it tells you when you have security, you have room to think clearly. You can do, and it's a tiny country. They don't have a lot of power. I wish a bigger country had that kind of capacity. So from that point of view, I never saw this Kagame as anybody that people should be celebrating really. And it's condemnable what he's doing, because look at, you can say whatever you like about Tinubu. He left office and he still held influence. There's no reason why Kagame couldn't have stepped out of or stepped down and still have influence in the country and make sure the country is steered in the right direction. So it's a failure. What he is basically doing right now is expressing an actual failure in leadership. Because if he was a great leader, if he believed these people were following him, why can't he step down and allow some other person to?
Are you disappointed? Are you disappointed? Because I am somewhat, because there's a part of me that likes the guy, but most of me loathe this sort of idea of changing the constitution. I mean, 40 years.
It's a coup. It's a coup. Let's call it what it is. It's a coup. They are using their office to change the constitution to keep themselves in office. It's a coup. So that should be illegal under African Union law, and all the other regions should pick up that law. And I think I heard some of them talking about it already. It's something I think, it was a Ghanaian president that talked about it recently. I think he was the head of the ECOWAS. He talked about it recently, because I think the people had that debate, and I was involved in debate when Mali and all that stuff. So now I was like, you can't carry on, like you can't pretend as if it's not a coup. You are using your power, the power of patronage in office to change the constitution. If you want to change the constitution, leave office and campaign for it. Don't be in office and change the constitution to favor you. What is different between that and a military takeover? It's not that different to me. So that should stop, because then you will have a more relaxed institutions in nations that will be assured that presidents will not use their office to mangle their term in office so that they can stay longer. I never saw Mugabe as anything special, so that doesn't come for me as a surprise, because I look at what they are doing in Congo there. I don't like it. Yes, when he talks, he's charismatic and he actually says the right things, But maybe the reason why he's able to say the right things because he's already sold out. He can say those things because he knows in his heart of heart he's already sold out more critical aspects. Because his country is exporting a lot of cobalt that they don't have on their own in their own country, but they are taking it from Congo. So he's using the corridor of his country to take wealth out of Congo and exporting it to the West. What has he done to stop that? He has not done anything to stop that. It's basically his own operational this thing. That's how he runs his country. He uses the money from Congo to enrich his country, and even that enrichment is not even that high. Nigeria's GDP per capita is over $2,000, while his country is under 1,000. It's crazy, and this is the guy we keep praising. See, Africans really need. Personally, I say if you want to start rating people, start rating them in the way they defend their country. That is how you start. If you start with all these all these what they call it, airy-fairy numbers that can change any moment, you are going to miss the mark. I've said it before when I was on this panel, when I said Africa from the late 14th century till date, we have not recovered one aspect of our society, which is an ability to wage war at the level of the rest of the world. That the way the rest of the world can do it, we've never recovered our ability till today. We still haven't. The only country that can, compare.
Have we ever had that ability? I have no recollection, or maybe my history is not up to par, that the Black Africa has ever, on a conquest, taken over other people's land.
You see how they went into Europe. The Moors went into Europe, and in the case of Sudan, how they fought the Romans to a standstill, that the Romans had to sign a peace deal with them and give them everything they wanted, while England was being colonized and taken as slaves by the Romans. So the Kush kingdom, yes, they were a first-rate country. As a matter of fact, they took over Egypt for a while, and they ran Egypt for over 100 years. So yes, there was a time when Africa was not penetrated for a very, very long time. It's not because there was no land bridge between North and South. They could come in, but Africa was resisting them. And the mistake they made somewhere along the line was not continuing to advance. I don't know why they stopped, because they had 100 years from before.
Do you think they fell prey to religion? Do you think it was religion that they used to infiltrate?
Wow, I think you touched on something there, because I think I've had people make that argument strongly, because it was when Mali became Islamic, they somehow, that's when things really went bad for them. And what's his name? The rich one, the one that went on the trip, I've forgotten his name.
Mansa Musa.
Yes. I think what he did was.
I think he alerted to the wealth of that space once,
yes,
and it served us up. He served us up with
it's
that.
Terrible. It's a terrible thing to do. Do you know what he could have done with that wealth? He could have raised armies to take over territories all over the north. Our black man decided that, you see, that's what Islam does. He decided that his priority would be to show off that wealth all the way to Medina. This is where our threat assessment became faulty. We lost an identity, our idea of threat. And maybe you are right when you asserted that Islam had something to do with it, because they just assume Islam was like, airy-fairy religion that everybody care about everybody. They don't understand that in the end, it's power that determines the actions people take. And he did what he did, and the consequences after that came. It wasn't that long, and the Mali Empire fell, and the Songhai Empire rose, and they fell again. They didn't have, and all of them were Islamic, and most of the countries that brought them down were also Islamic countries that brought them down. So you can argue that, and it's a very, very strong argument to say, yeah, maybe there's an Islamic component here that destroyed Africa, and then the Christian component from the south destroyed Africa from there too. In the end, though, how does religion prevent you from learning new ideas? You have to question our forefathers, what they did during that period. What happened to them? How does it prevent them from saying, you know what? How do you make that bomb? How do you make that gun again? And, all these big ships used to come here, how do you make them?
And you think they will tell you? They are on a
if they don't tell me, then go back. If you don't tell me go, don't come back again, because you can't. They did this for hundreds of years. It's not like it's not like it happened for 10 years. They kept coming and going for over 100 years, and our leaders didn't bother to learn the technology that they used to build those boats. They didn't learn the technology that they used to make the guns. And what kind of people? The moment they went to Japan, one of the first things Japanese did was to take the gun from them and learn how to make it. What happened to our people along the line? I don't know. But I can tell you, maybe there's an argument to say that religion is what blinded them at first. But something else is going on there. And because today we are still not woken up.
You have to also concede that the African knowledge base is somewhat rudimentary. The Japanese, they have a sort of a scientific culture that preceded interaction with other cultures, but the African space has always been rudimentary. It was cutlass and hoes now, and just sticks and bows.
I'm not sure it's fair to say that, because they discovered an 8,000-year-old boat in Nigeria, and we know of thousands of years of culture, of the Nok culture, that were smelting iron even before the English started doing that. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, we lost a step or two. You can argue that even the Islamic world has lost a step or two, because there was a time they were quite ingenious and inventive and all the rest, but now they are not. If anything, they are closing down. So maybe something happens to societies after a while. They are not that curious anymore. They don't become as inventive or as competitive anymore. Whatever that is, we need to snap out of it, because right now, when I look at the trajectory of events, it's almost as if we are being swallowed slowly and we are not seeing it happen, because it's happening in slow motion. It's happening in time scales that you can't observe properly. Our continent was not taken over overnight. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over 300 years. You think any of the people alive during that period knew what was happening? No, they just saw trade. They didn't see the bigger compromise that is happening. And that is what we are still going through today. In the fact that we can even see it now tells us that it's so obvious. We are supposed to react, but our people are not reacting. I don't understand the science involved in that. Because the way groups of people react is different from the way individuals react. Like, you can be aware of an information now that somebody betrayed you. You will react immediately. But as a people don't react like that. They will just like, oh yeah, I betrayed us, so what? And because they don't feel like they need to respond. Hence, the need for some countries why they carry out false flag operation. Because they feel like if you don't do that, the people are not going to get to the point where they are going to be ready to fight. Like in Germany, that when this Hitler decided to attack the German, I think parliament or something, and because he wants to put the people's mindset in a war footing, and he was a popular leader, he couldn't convince his people. That should tell you something. If Hitler was so popular, but he couldn't convince his people to go into war, that he had to resort to bombing his own country, that tells you something, that human beings don't respond. And maybe that's what's happening on the continent right now. We all know intellectually what the problem is, but we don't react to it. For me, I passed the stage of not wanting to react to it, but a lot of people haven't even started thinking like that. So yeah, in the case of Kagame, I'm not a big fan. The only guy I respect a little bit in sub-Saharan Africa is the Eritrean leader that has kept his people safe from invasion. And guess what? He's the only guy that voted against the West when it came to Ukraine and versus Russia. It tells you what happens when you have your own voice. You can speak as you see fit. Do you think Nigerians will oppose that kind of stuff? Because, I think, was it not Ovara that said that a fire that consumes the tortoise shell, what will happen to us that wears a feathered gown? We can't even contemplate doing that kind of stuff because we are not secure. We should have, by right, well over 1 million soldier army to defend this country. And no, you have to admit, one man, that we have one of the greatest inheritance in the world. The genetic base of humanity, one of the most gifted continents, that's in terms of natural resources, continent.
You know the person that carries the most genetics, the person that carries the gene of every human being on this planet is the East African female. So
Yeah.
they found traits of every known humankind in the East African female, and she's the complete human being.
Yeah, you know, we used to argue that Africans, there are some people out there that says Africans are the only 100% human beings. That's modern humans. The others have mixture of Neanderthals and all the rest of it. And the genetic diversity is like blinding, 10 times more genetic diversity than outside Africa. Then, not to mention natural resources. They just found $12 trillion worth of gold in Uganda. How many parts of the world do you find these things? Our inheritance is so great, but our people don't want to defend it.
You know why Africa will continue to be held down, irrespective of your will that they don't, or even their will that they don't. Africa feeds the world to the life that they live. You know, all those cheap phones that you're buying, that you're able to go to the shop and buy a loaf of bread for £1, it's all because Africa is being exploited. You know, if Africa gets a fair deal, you'll be paying £5 for that bread. And the cost of the cheap life that you're living in Africa is not because in the West, it's not because of anything other than the exploitation of Africa. You know,
as much as that is true, we can't just say because we have wealth, so we just let them come and rob us, because that's the more reason why we should.
You're not letting them robbing you; they are giving you no choice but to be robbed.
Yeah, but you also have a choice to resist.
How
you
so?
see my point?
How so?
We don't even want to use our youth. We don't even recruit them to defend the country. We don't do that on the continent.
Tunanja.
Yeah.
Please, can I say something about what you were talking about?
Carry on.
You see, about if you think about it, our goal as people, as Africans, especially as a result of religion, our end goal has nothing to do with nation building or having a strong military, thinking about the interest of what's it called, unborn children, in order for them to be on the top of the on the table in terms of next generation to come. Most of our people, even if you talk to people in Nigeria or anywhere in Africa, especially the religious, their end goal is almost like they want to make afterlife. I'm telling you, it's almost like they are living in a la-la land. Okay? Like they don't even understand the word that they have to participate in the what they are right now, and they have to build some wall, some building block for the generation to come. You see, those basic things in terms of survivor, the ability to retain power towards yourself and have some sort of control. Look at what happened when gas went up right now. Biden has to go to the Gulf to go meet these OPEC people, right? In terms of, hey, you guys need to pump more gas or something, right? All because they are united, and they know the power of the resources they have, and they are using the power of it. What about us in Africa? Do we have a united front? We don't. So nobody ever going to run to Africa for any resources because you can easily exploit it. We are it's already been divided, and it's divide and conquer, and that has been working for centuries. So, like one man said, if you think about cost of copper, cobalt, and all these mineral resources that is involved in making the electronics we use today, if Africa was able to get it together, it would be unbearable for every other continent to really live to their standard.
That is why they will not allow it. So that you
it
don't
will
really
be very unbearable. So somebody resources.
And it's
need
not
to
like
be
you
cheap.
can fight your way through. You can't fight your way through.
You don't.
If you can wipe you out in a week.
You don't even understand. We don't even understand the basic of survival, strength of military. We don't understand those things. Most of us talk, oh, God is going to fix it. You talk to any Nigerian right now, they don't want to participate. The last thing in that conversation will be, well, God is going to. Even people think God is the one choosing leaders for us. despite they can go get their PVC, and you can try to tell them like, hey, democracy didn't come from the Bible or the Quran. This is created by human. We have to participate in this. They will tell you, oh, all on yeah, it just get on my nerves. Like, I just like, okay, you know what? I don't know what kind of mindset my people have, but we are far from it. We don't understand the basics.
I think that is where all these type of discussions are important, and I'm one of those people that have hope that, because you see, they said a decade can happen in a week, and if the people are in the right mindset, you can move very quickly and things can change rapidly if you have the right mindset. I feel like this is why I keep saying the people are the answer, because they are not susceptible to the kind of this thing, blackmails or whatever the West will do. And let's face it, I think only man said something about sorry, one man, sorry. You said something about whether they will just come and destroy. It's not that simple. And one of the stuff I wanted to highlight is that when I say these things, I'm talking about just our sanity. We are not even talking about offensive capabilities yet. We are just saying keep our country sane enough, protected enough, so that we don't keep getting sabotaged. Our laws and our people, our nations are not kept unstable, so that we will never form a viable economy to function. So if you are not being aggressive towards others and they bring the aggression towards you, chances are that they are going to lose that war. Because remember, anybody that wants to come after you is also taking food off some other person's table, like the Chinese, the Russians, or whatever. So and Africans are, because they are already strong, they are defending themselves. They don't have a lot of weapons. You don't have to fight them head on. Can they take on a 10 million man army that is fighting a guerrilla warfare? Good luck coming to the continent with that.
All right. Thank you, Tunaja. So thank you, Tunaja. A very interesting delivery by Tunaja, as always is, but a bigger topic than this session. Hopefully we'll have a session that's actually dedicated, because I think there's another chap that thinks along your line, Black League. He used to come here. So is a space that we visited before. So maybe we'll actually have conversations, especially about that space. But for reasons of time, Tunaja, let me move on to the next contributor. But before that, I do that, let me acknowledge the super chats that have been coming in. Kulata seems to have discovered that function alongside Alexander Gomez, and he's pointing this one at you. Yeah, it says, Tunaja, it's an IQ problem. Let's face facts. So that's a wider space you are opening there, Kulata, with that space. It's an IQ problem. What is even the measure of IQ is the thing, but it's a. But do you want to just a little response to that, and then I move on? Yeah.
I see. Every stress reduces IQ by default. Africans are stressed, so yes, if you measure it empirically, we are stressed. But clearly, when Nigerians go overseas, you see that we actually outperform almost we outperform Asians. So it's not an IQ problem. We may have in this individual high IQ. It's a group IQ that we need to bring back, because there is something like group IQ. You have to learn to function as a group, and this is where the other parts of the world have surpassed us.
You know, that group IQ, I would describe it as a collective agenda. So if you go to the Middle East, they have a collective agenda. If you go to Europe, they have a collective agenda. The America, they have an agenda, but the Africans, they don't have, because the Arabs, they will never allow you to cross anybody, or not you black, not you white, not you anybody. They won't. There's a threshold that they would never allow you to cross in terms of their being and their culture. And the same with the Europeans, the same with a lot of people. But the Africans, they would tolerate and take everything. They will subordinate their fellow person to a foreign person. So because we don't have a collective agenda, so yes, that group thinking or that group position is certainly something that we must try and nurture. But let me move on. Just for reasons of time, Tunaja, a very really illuminating discussion right there by Tunaja. Let me go to Alexander Gomez's super chat, and it says, "Go read the evil man Lugard, absolute and thorough description of the black man. cruel, racist, but accurate, unfortunately. So I think that lends itself to that suggestion, that inference via Kulata, there is an IQ problem. But I think Alexander Gomez might well be, and it's a conversation that we must necessarily have as Black people as well, not from a defensive point of view, but from an actual antecedent and contemporaneous functioning as well. You know, are we of a lesser IQ than the rest of the world? This is the thing, because the way we have been positioned in the world is certainly indicative of that. Go read the Evil Man Lugard's absolute and thorough description of the black man. Cruel, racist, but accurate, unfortunately. So that is Alexander super chatting to the conversation. So thank you for that super chat. As we go from Alexander to World Peace, pardon me, as we go from Tunaja to World Peace. So World Peace, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, woman.
All right, brilliant. Good to have you. So Kenichiwa to World Peace, as we take him then to...
It's Kumbawa. It's Kumbawa. It's midnight over here.
Oh yeah, it's Kumbawa. Yes, Kumbawa to World Peace. As we take him to Fani Kayode and his assertions about the Nigerian security position. So you've heard the conversation. What is your position, World Peace?
Yeah, thank you, woman. Thank everybody. Yeah, just because of time, I don't need to speak too much on Fani Kayode. I never take that much serious. I don't know other people that take him serious. Though there might be truth in what he's saying. But like Solly said and what I just said, they just come out and make a blunt statement like that with no evidence to back it up. And right now we are trying to fix the election, try to stable the country. We are coming up with this kind of distraction, bringing panic and fear. So what do you want? You want everybody to pick up guns, arms, and start fighting war? What is not good for anybody? Though we understand these Fulani people have an agenda, if he knows that kind of thing, then you know the proper channel to pass that information to. But for me, I don't take Panika this serious. That's for me.
Okay, and the Rwandan president wanting to be president for life. We've been contending with this for 50 years solid. This is the year 2022, by the way, World Peace, and we're still contending with the president for life. Rwanda, the shining example of Africa, according to many, but really no different from what we've always known. World Peace.
Yeah, thank you. People have said about that Rwanda, but the problem about Rwanda, not just like Africa, is because we are practicing a kind of democracy or kind of system that is not ours. So when any like that, the Nazi power to be where you get involved in the power, controlling the system. So they will try to stop that kind of stuff and try to make their own agenda, whatever they have for the country, just like KAGAME. KAGAME didn't really want to stay there forever, but because interference from the West kept him there. You know, that's the problem. Yet, until we drop the kind of democracy or whatever ideology we have, we are trying to, the Western ideology we are trying to practice. Until we drop it, we won't be seeing leaders that will be fair in Africa because the Westerners, the Europeans, have so many interests in Africa. So when you imagine you practice democracy, like this Nigeria election, so only a fool would think that the Westerners don't have kind of interest in this election.
You know, I'm not too far from you in that thought, World Peace. The sort of democracy that we practice in Africa, there's a lot of arguments, there's a lot of discussions to say that are we suited to a Western democracy for reasons that we're not Westerners? So can we instead, merge a democracy that suits to our own peculiarity rather than try to replicate what they do in America? We're not Americans. So how can we,
Yeah, true. We can't. It's not for us. We are seeing this democracy. We are practicing this democracy and are trying to see through the lenses of a white man. It's going to be difficult for us. Democracy is not meant for Africa. Africa have the style of government we have before the European came. We have the monarchical system of government, which we have the king and we have a prime minister. We can have a king, like in Malaysia. Malaysia had like 20 kings that control Malaysia. They call it Datu. Every year, every 2 years, they return the power to the different king, but they have a prime minister. In Thailand, they have a king, they have a prime minister. In Japan, they have a king, and they have a prime minister. Quickly, they just assassinated our former prime minister here, Abe. I guess you heard about it.
Yes.
But he paid for his death, so please don't worry. You don't take it serious here. He just pays for his own, not debt. Yeah, not like anybody assassinating him. He killed himself to keep his family's name and his party's name. Anyway, let's move from that. So that's what we're supposed to practice in Africa. We're supposed to have monarchical system of government, which we have parliament, we have prime minister, we have the kings and the elite. And the problem again in Africa, because the Westerners interfere in our space too much, anybody just coming up to become somebody, when you get to government, they start making decisions. If you look at even the Western country, even the American, even the England there, people that are in the politics, the people that control that big power are the elite of that country, the nobles of that country from day one, from thousands of years. Am I lying, one man?
Oh, yeah, very correct.
So, but look at Nigeria. Look at Nigeria, for example. Anybody just become a governor, it becomes somebody. You start telling the Oni or the Oba, or don't do this or don't do that. It's wrong. We're supposed to put the right people in the right position to do things. But the Western know that.
Well, please, just as an aside from politics, what is it like being a black man in Japan? What's the experience?
Oh, Japan is very good though. It's far better than every other place by being a black man. Though everybody have their bad, every country have a bad side and good side. But the thing is, Japan is very, very. I think it's very, very okay for a black man. They are welcoming. Because of their tradition, but they hide their feelings and they are shy, so you don't feel the discrimination really like that.
All right.
And life is okay for a black man. Everything's okay because it's a industrial country, so they need workforce. So there's a job for you to do, not in the office or in the factory.
All right, brilliant. And finally, to this space, this thing now that Sule Lamido is saying, Buhari Loyalists planning to work against Tinubu to support Atiku. So, what are you making of that assertion? Is it something that you can you rhyme with?
Yeah, I won't be surprised to hear that because we know the Northern will always support their own. So he's saying what he's using. That's why he's drawing concern that people are working to undermine Tinubu. This thing, the phrase he used, that's what I'm showing concern. Actually, if I use the proper phrase that the Northern will always support their own. Like Solly said, we are not supposed to be surprised. Tombawa did it against Wike just yesterday here. So what make we feel they will not do it against Tinubu? But Tinubu, like we said, Tinubu is always ahead though. People underestimate that guy. That guy is not person you underestimate like that. Tinubu knows all this. So I believe he's taking plan B for all these things too. But he knows the Northern will support the North their own, while the West will support the West and the South will support the South. So I'm not surprised what Lamido is saying, and did not always do that. They want to stay in power. The Fulani, the only way they can be relevant is to be in power or be around power. So right now, power is going to change. So they know for them to be relevant, they have to be in that power and be among that change. So anywhere the power goes, they want to go there. So if they're going to support Atiku to take it from Tinubu, they're not going to show any support. If Tinubu they're going to favor them, they're going to do that same stuff too. But so I'm not surprised what Shetima is saying, and I'm not surprised they do that. But I just believe we start to get our ass together and something to outsmart them too. That's how I see it.
All right, brilliant. So, one piece, I'm about to leave in about a couple of minutes. So let me just rattle through so that everybody has had the chance to say something.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me go to RB and just let me take your samplings on what piece was just speaking on there, the orchestrations against Tinubu, but just be brief, just so we get the flavor of your thinking.
I think to me, everything is gonna be fine with Tinubu if people that wants to cross carpet are doing it early. At least he's not gonna get caught in surprise at the end of the towards the end of the towards election. So anybody that want to cross carpet right now is trying to show some indication. I believe Tinubu is smart enough to know, okay, if this person is dependable or not. And if Shetima is the person he's speaking, Shetima to me from his interview seems to be somebody who sound like a loyalist to Tinubu. So he pretty much need people who he can count on, especially on the northern side of Nigeria.
All right, thank you. Brilliant. So let me put the same question to Saki Father. So Saki Father, you're up next. Apologies that I'm rushing you through, but commitments,
All
Saki
right, all
Father.
right.
Yeah.
Just not to take your time, I would like rather to comment on the Rwandan space.
Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, I said like not to take your time.
Yeah. No,
I
carry
will
on. Yeah.
rather
Let's hear your
okay, okay,
comment.
okay.
Yeah. Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like I listened to what Tunaja said. Tunaja is quite apt and he demonstrated perfect knowledge of that very country. And I have a lot of friends from Rwanda. As we are as we were on this very platform, I was actually talking with one of my friends from Rwanda. I was asking him what's actually wrong with your country and what are they trying to do? Why is it that your president will not want to relinquish power for this number of years? So I don't know why people have that narrative that Rwanda has been like a miracle in Africa. I have a lot of them as friends, and they, they, they are running away from their country, seeking for where to survive, seeking asylum in different parts of the world. A lot of them have told me uh, that the country is not as we think. That they are much that what the president does to them is like they are very much afraid. They are even afraid to talk about their president outside the country. You know, because they will tell you that they don't know whether he has spies, all over the world, trying to see who is talking against him from the country. So they are very much afraid to talk about him outside the country. The country's currency is very bad in terms of exchange rate. It is if Nigeria rate is like 500 naira, it is twice that of Nigeria. I mean, like it is Nigerian currency is stronger than their currency as at this time. Then we talk about literacy. Education level in that very country is very poor. So I don't know why people keep saying that, referring to Rwanda as a miracle. Then what Tuna just said about the Rwandan president having some inroads in this country. What's the name of the country? Congo. Yes, that is actually correct. He has a lot of Rwandan soldiers in Congo trying to excavate and extract Congo minerals. So Congo, they are very loyal to him. Then you talk about why he wants to still keep in power. Don't forget that he was I think he grew up in Uganda under Museveni. I think he's towing the line of Museveni. So I really weep for that very country, and I don't really know why it has not been possible for them
Africa
to.
has been on this journey for too long. President for life. It's
Yeah,
been too
yeah,
long.
yeah.
I mean, you can
Yes.
go back all the way through from I mean, up to this guy, president for
Yeah,
life.
but
Mugabe, president
uh,
for everybody, president for life.
what makes me wonder is why people keep referring to them as a miracle. That there is a economic miracle going on in Rwanda. But whenever I talk with a lot of my friends from Rwanda, they seem to give me opposite narrative. They seem to give me opposite narrative. Like I said, most of them are coming to different countries seeking asylum just to run away from their country. You know, when I tell them about Nigeria, like I used to tell them that in Nigeria, you can talk like the way you, one man, you are talking about Nigeria, talking against the government openly in this open space. They will like, is this possible to come openly and talk against your government? Now you cannot do that in Rwanda. If you do that in Rwanda, you will die. They will kill you. You know. So
You,
it's
you know the reason why that guy is holding that country tight, holding it down like that with Iron Hand, is because he's from the minority group. So he's a minority, and is in power. And you know, the majority, if we allow democracy to run in the normal way, you know, the majority will always carry the votes. We always win in democracy. So that's why he's making all these changes in the constitution. And that's why you see him putting women in most of the strategic places. You know, women doesn't talk, they just want to do their work. They don't like to fight political issue the way we men, you know, fight for interests of our own interests, the interests of our people, you know. So he's from the minority tribe, and that's why he's making this law, so that we continue to govern that place. So that's the main reason why he has been changing the constitution to perpetuate himself in power. So it's just the majority. You cannot even, if you want to talk of who you are, like particularly those that are majority, you cannot even mention it. I'm from, I think it's the Tutsi that are the majority. You can't say, oh, if you ask for a tribe, you can't even mention it. You know, so that's the problem.
All right, Saki, round off your thoughts in a couple more sentences, then I have to shut down. So a few more sentences.
On that note, it is quite regrettable. I don't know how greedy we are as Africans, honestly. You know how greedy we are. You have sat down into power for more than 20 years, and you want to extend for life again. So it is quite regrettable. That's my take on that so far.
All right, brilliant. Well, cool. So thank you, Saki, and apologies for pushing you for time, but you know, I just have our commitments. So thank you, gentlemen.
No, I understand.
All right, thank you, one and all. So we leave it there, and we reconvene in the evening for a longer, more relaxed session. So like, share, and subscribe, as we often invite you to do. So you don't just say that, yeah.
Yeah, I observed that the morning section is always quiet. There is nothing like a lot of pushbacks and a lot of.
It is more relaxed now.
It's always relaxed. Yeah.
Yes, the yam heads they are still in bed, so we're able to have a civilized conversation. It's only in the evenings. You know, it's the evenings.
So you like morning better than the evening time?
I think the morning is okay. But I think the evening you hear a lot of things.
That's when the Agberos come
The
out.
evening is better now. It's more engaging, you know.
Yes.
Everybody, the people who don't check Ogogoro, don't check Ogogoro. Person who don't check this thing, it comes with energy.
When Obi is already gone through 3 raps of something, and then it comes to talk about politics, you know. So we reconvene for the evening, and peace. Thank you, everyone.